It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
WildEarth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on WildEarth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, everyone. Welcome to your sunset safari. We are here in the Masai Mara and ready to take you on this live afternoon safari. A very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Masai Mara in East Africa, Kenya. This is your afternoon game drive, and we are already at our location. We've come across this female lioness that was hunting, but as soon as the giraffe arrived, we'll share the giraffe with you. She stopped and lay down. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungei. Welcome to this afternoon game drive. Remember to talk to us on hashtag WildEarth, and also you can talk to at FC questions on that. Also you can send in question at kids question at WildEarth TV, and you will be answered. Well, a lovely afternoon to start with here. As a good setting, this lioness looks like she's very lazy, but I promise you she is not. What happened is the giraffe appeared and she lied down. She knows that the giraffe are tall and have got very good eyesight, and once they behave like they can see something, everybody else will move on. And so she decided to stay put, hoping that, you know, everybody will forget, and also the giraffe won't see her, and so she will be able to make a hunt. Where we are in a place called Mogoro, in between the marsh and the crossing, and we are surrounded by game all over. Over there is the giraffe, behind them is the zebra and wildebeest, and also baboons. I could hear one calling, which is an alarm call that could alert everybody else, and so she's being very, very careful. We are monitoring to see what she's going to do, but conditions are perfect. The weather here in the Masai Mara is 29 degrees Celsius, which is very okay because the clouds have covered the sun, and so it's cooling down. This is typical of lions once they've been noticed to try and lie down, and so everybody forgets because everybody is moving around. Whoever has arrived will pass, and so some new guys will come. And Rosaline, Jumbo, and good afternoon. Welcome to this afternoon game drive. You want to find out how often the lions hunt? Well, if it means to eat only, they can go every about 5 to 7 days. But because they are cats, they are very unpredictable. Anything close or moving around them will be food, and they will hunt. That distance between the lioness and the wildebeest lying down can be deceiving because the angle looks like they're very close, but that is around maybe 900 feet. So it's quite a distance, and she needs, she doesn't need to break the cover. If she breaks the cover, she will be noticed and everybody will run away. I'm staying here because something might happen, and while I do that, let my other colleagues introduce themselves.
Greetings, and a warm welcome to this other side of the Masai Mara. We have elephants that are grazing slowly and peacefully. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. Now, this is a very interesting area where we see elephants gathering every afternoon. You can see one of them, big females there with a tiny calf. The reason why I identify this herd is because of the mother there with unusual shape of the tusks. They're pointing outwards, and that is one of the way we ID, or we're able to tell elephants by looking at the ear patterns, looking at the shape of the tusks. Sometimes when the ears are worn out, they're worn out because of them brushing off in the bushes, and sometimes when they fight off. That's a young bull still within the herd. You can see lots of them are scattered, enjoying the grass. One lone zebra walking in the distance. We've seen a boom on elephant calves this year, and we're happy that elephant numbers are increasing. Gina, thank you so much for your question. One of my favorite herbivores is the elephant. I like the social dynamics, I like the way they interact, and I like how they play a mother figure when they are with their calves, and how they get to control these entire herds. Definitely one of my favorite herbivores. I think that calf is super hot. Look at how he's flapping his ears. Continuous flapping. So this herd normally comes here every afternoon. It's not a very big herd. One of the afternoon they tried to charge me, but I think maybe something had spooked them, and the matriarch tried to come charge at us, but it was a false charge or a mock charge. But eventually they settled down and wandered off to the forest. Look at that calf. He's enjoying the grass while still holding on his trunk. I'm going to follow these elephants and see if they'll go to a mud wallow, because I've seen them on a regular basis going to wallow here, as we link you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, the lioness still in the same position. These are tactics, and it tells me that she's very experienced. I am thinking she's one of the Owinos or one of the Olololo breakaway. I still have to identify her, but I don't know. You see the wildebeest, they can hear the call of the baboon, which is an alarm call, and they're trying to get away from this area. Without seeing the danger, they're trying to leave quietly so that they don't become the culprits. We're going to show you the baboon. It's somewhere there, okay? I think should be up on a tree somewhere there, and it's making left a little bit. It's the left a little bit. It was on that tree there. Yes, there I see it. Zoom in a little bit, Bungay. Yeah, you see the baboon on that tree, and you can tell he's got his head raised every now and then. They have amazing eyesight, baboons, and they are the self-proclaimed, askaris or guards. They will alarm everybody and alert everybody who's around that there is a threat, which is in leopard or lion, so that the lion starve and they all get out of this world, and so they become the dominant ones. Also to the left was the giraffe that is still trying to find the lioness, and this is the guy who's the reason why the lioness went down and she is resting. Following the alarm of the baboon, he's trying to locate the danger. You can see how concentrated he is, looking forwards and checking, trying to find where the baboon is. See that? Walking cautiously. I hope he doesn't see it.
Our elephants are slowly walking towards the forest, but I'm sure they'll come to a place where they'll mud wallow, because I've seen them mud wallow here. Or if not, maybe they'll walk somewhere else. They have these routes that they use on a daily basis, walking from the forest to the marshland, and in the marshland they join other elephants. Well, it's always nice when you see them interacting between herds and herds. Interesting thing is that when they are mixed up with all herds from different families, they are always following their matriarchs. It's also important to learn that even though they're mixed in that way, they actually are able to communicate with only their matriarchs. It's so unique when you see them dispersing or splitting the groups from the marshes or from these grazing grounds, and how you tell how elephants really communicate with one another or from their matriarch, who is in control of when to go and forage, when to go and drink, when to rest. Like right here, they've already been walking slowly. Jack, thank you for your checkup. Baby Jasiri, we've not seen him for quite a while, but that was one of my mission today, this afternoon. So I'll be driving near the forest to see if Baby Jasiri is there. And I'm sure because he was by himself and he was looking strong, or maybe he's found some elephants who've taken him as an orphan. We'll be keen to know. But I'll keep you updated as we follow these herds. See, the communication that has gone in here is to settle here, graze while the young ones rest. Because these long distances, the calves get tired, so the mothers know when to stop, when to make them feel comfortable and rest. It's actually unique and also very interesting when you see elephants start moving and walking around together. Remember, this is a very interactive live safari coming from Africa.
It certainly is, and it's your safari, so you can chat to us for any questions you may have. There's some fork-tailed drongos having a bit of a fight there. So it's really nice to be out here. We're on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. My name is Trishana, and I've got Mpo on camera this wonderful afternoon. It's wonderful because the sun is finally out, and that makes me pretty excited. And you can see that everything's getting pretty green. The grass is starting to sprout up. There's mushrooms everywhere. and I'm very, very excited about it. 24 degrees Celsius, about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't even feel one bit of coolness. It feels perfect. The air is fresh, with that very nice damp vegetation and soil smell. The bush looks happy today. Hopefully that means that we can find a whole lot of animals. This morning was quite busy. We had Tlalamba, had the Djuma Pride and the hyenas. And this afternoon I'm still after some elephants. I didn't get enough elephants this morning. Then we had some crested francolins shouting at us, I think, telling us to get a move on. If you want to find those elephants, you're going to have to drive around, Shala. That's what they said to me, because being out here in the bush, I now learned how to speak Franklin. All right, let's head to the south. That's where I want to go. Check out a couple of dams. Now, the problem is that with all the rain, the dams have been a little bit delicate. So we'll try not to get into the dam more, but hopefully we'll find some elephants.
Back here in the Masai Mara, we've come across another herd. So the first herd is to our right, and there's another herd approaching, and they're still walking slowly. You can see one of them is mud bathing. Very, very interesting to see. That is one way of cooling their bodies. They lose a lot of heat and water in their body. So a calf can lose about 2.5 liters of water. So the adults can lose about double that amount because they use that to cool themselves. And so when they get to a drinking point, they'll use water to cool off their body, and sometimes they use mud to cool by sprinkling mud or spraying mud on their body. Brings in a layer of mud which helps against parasites and other biting insects, as well as cooling themselves. It's reckoned that this behavior allows the elephants to cool themselves about 8 times better than normal water cooling. Apart from elephants communicating in a very low frequency sound called the infrasound, so when they're in a long distance apart, let's say this herd was split up from the main matriarch herd, so this maybe, let's say it was led by the sisters, they have some capsules on their legs. It's called a seismic communication, where those vibrations as the elephants walk can be transmitted over a distance of about 32 kilometers. So they can feel the vibration and communicate from herds to herds as they are walking through. So all this Tony, thank you so much for your question. Young elephant bulls will get separated from their herds from the age of 8 or 11 to 17. Sometimes you see teenage elephants from about 16, 15 being in the herd, but that is almost towards the end of them separating from the herd, but normal age is about 11. And as they disperse off from their natal herds, they'll walk over to be bachelors, where they'll start or begin their life following big mature bulls that will teach them the dynamics of life on how to control, how to come into to analyze herds, walking from herd to herd, to analyze the females if they want to go to mating, And through this process, sometimes they come back to their families, but will still head back because they have a very big memory. But the females never leave the natal herds. See, the mother there teaching the youngster how to sprinkle mud on their body. Sometimes you see them rolling over the mud. It's super hot, and you can see that female there flapping her ears. Sometimes if there's no water or a mud wallow, and elephants have calves, you see them do a circle, place the young ones in the center, and they start flapping their ears to cool the calves. That shows you how elephants are super intelligent. And after the mud wallows, you'll see them walking towards a tree or a rubbing stump where they'll scratch off ticks. This looks like super interactive, so I'll still sit here as we enjoy this sighting, as we link you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, I'm still here. The lioness has sort of rolled and made herself comfortable, laid on the other side. I can imagine how she feels being on that long grass there. Could be like lying on a thick mattress because she's very, very happy. The zebra and wildebeest have sort of moved further down, but it doesn't mean that the hunt is over because she needs everything to be perfect before she goes. And I think when she wakes up, she's gonna start the hunt all over again. And chances are she's going to make it before dark. I don't guarantee anything though, but she might make it after, before dark. That's what I'm thinking. She looks very hungry. I haven't identified her, but the setting that we are in is like what you see there. There is small shrubs and bushes separating. Harish, Jumbo, and please could you repeat the question? It's all about lions, but I missed the better part. Oh, you ask why they're so muscular? Well, they are, they work really hard, and apart from lying down, they walk long distances, and as you know, even walking is a bit of exercise. I have seen a lioness at the gate, Olololo, and the next morning she was up at Olpunyata. It's almost 12 kilometers. So that's exercise, and it's building of the muscle. And of course, they're born and built with lots of muscles. And when they actually go for a hunt, it doesn't matter how short or how long it is, they use a lot of power and strength. And I think that automatically builds their muscles. Not only that, but every now and then they'll come across a bigger animal that they will need to tire it before bringing it down. So before tiring it, they'll need to jump on it as much as possible. So they work a lot and they exercise a lot.
Here we have some really nice giraffe. We've been actually really lucky the last few weeks with a number of giraffes all around on Djuma. We've got 4 here at the moment. There's 3 there and then there's 1 off to the side. all enjoying the bushveld gardenia. Giraffe love flowers, and they've been having a field day with a number of the combretum flowers and these bushveld gardenias. Here's the other. Looks like a group of males. This one seems to be the older of the four. Oh, look at that sun shining right onto him. Really enjoying themselves. It's such a peaceful afternoon. And these giraffes are really setting the tone, I think. They're peaceful creatures in general. You don't hear them making many sounds. You'll just see them stare at predators or at you. But for now, very, very peaceful, very relaxed, and just enjoying a midday snack.
From the elephants and zebra and giraffes, we have giraffes being the tallest landed big animal, and we have the elephant that is the biggest land mammal. So those two can never fight. They all are herbivores, but we have different coloring when they're walking or when they are feeding, which is also unique when you see them out here in the wild. Our elephants here are separated from a different herd. They'll be joining soon. You can see the matriarch there is doing a busy job eating what she's already cooled herself. Their communication is so unique such that these matriarchs, when they're walking, sometimes foraging in the forest or in the savannah like this, you find group members dispersing away from the matriarch. They are super intelligent such that they can be able to communicate or to know or master the sounds of 100 individuals. So she knows every individual within the herd. As soon as they call, because they have vocal communication, which she has mastered all of them. How interesting are these elephants, and how intelligent are they? Can you imagine mastering all individual calls within a herd? And sometimes herds can be over 40, sometimes can be 50, and as small as 10 to 20. So the success of the matriarchs, if for example one dies from natural causes, can be succeeded by either a sister or a cousin. And that makes sometimes elephant herds split up and form two herds when an individual matriarch passes on or dies. It seems like it's still warm or hot enough. That's why you see most of them cooling off. And continual flapping of their ears, which makes them look like ferns. They also face downwards so that the wind will blow in back of their ears, so that the wind or the cool air that is trapped between the ears and the body gets to cool the blood that in their blood vessels, and which makes them cool off their entire body. Despite them feeding on grass, sometimes you see them breaking trees, breaking branches to eat the leaves. And I've seen elephants actually lifting up their front feet to reach to the trees where they pull down the branches and give those to their young ones. Tracy, thank you for your question. The main difference between these two species is the African elephant is actually bigger than the Asian elephant. The African elephant, the females do have tusks, and the males as well. But of the Asian elephant, the female don't possess the tusks. The female Asian elephants have rounded ears, while the African elephants, the males have all of them have a unique shape that if you look carefully and keenly, they kind of look like the map of Africa. Some have long tusks, some have no tusk at all, some have very short tusks. And if you look carefully on either tusk, you find that one is almost completely worn out. Like humans, we can be right-handed or left-handed, as same as the elephants. So the continual or the most worn out tusk shows up if an elephant could be right-tusked or left-tusked. Those tusks come in very handy for these elephants, especially when they're foraging or maybe when they're looking for water or looking for minerals. Sometimes find elephants digging for salt on the ground, digging for water, peeling off barks from trees. I'm still going to stay here with these elephants and watch this special interaction as we link you over to another safari vehicle.
There are now 5 giraffes here. They're all spread out, each enjoying their favorite tree. They've got their heads down, tongues wrapping around leaves and the flowers. It's intriguing to watch the way that they feed. These are a group of males. Have a good look at them. You'll see that they're ossicones, which are those horn-like protrusions at the top of their heads, are bald on the top. If you look at the one at the back, he's giving us a good view. So there's a tuft of hair around, but on the top, they're bald, even though these ossicones are not particularly large. And that's because these guys are still a little bit young, even very nice and light, compared to other big mature bulls that you'll see around, which are quite darker. Really enjoying themselves. And even though I did mention before that they're very quiet, very peaceful, because they just look at you when they feel that you are too close, or if there's a predator around, they just kind of look at them. They actually do have a very well-developed voice box and can make a lot of sounds. Yes, Senior, you'd like to know if giraffes can kick with their front legs and in all directions. They will usually kick with their back legs, and it'll only be in the direction that the knee allows them to kick. So much like horses, their weight still has to be put on something, and the weight will usually be on the front legs and kick with the back legs. If you look at your own knee, for you to kick something that's in front of you, you're actually going to be using your whole leg and not just your shin. If you had to use just your shin, you'd have to maneuver your whole body in a way to do that. Giraffes don't have that luxury. So they will kick with the back leg. You'll see that they are also feeding on the other side. Still feeding on that bushveld gardenia. And over on the other side, they're also feeding on some jackalberry. We're actually very close to a main road. In fact, one of the main road that leads to lots of the lodges here in the Sabi Sands. And these giraffe actually on our southern boundary, or actually further south of our boundary. So we're going to have to move to let the other cars go past. You probably can hear their vehicles in the background. All right, well, we're going to leave these lovely boys. It's so nice to see a group of them together. And we're going to let these cars go past.
Our elephants have stopped mud wallowing or mud pasting off. Although they have a big body, they have a small surface area. And like I said earlier, when they lose water through their skin, which is called diffusion, having that kind of a body, they have to keep their skin moist. And that's the reason why you see them pasturing with mud. So this is a process that will help them cool off as they carry on with their daily activity. Now these herds, sometimes they walk a long distance depending on availability of food. But they're enjoying it now because it's been raining for a little while. About more than 3 days ago, it had rained around here. So there's constant supply of food and even water. You can see most of them are dispersed. You can see one of them is under a tree there for shade. I'm sure the young one is just next on the other side of the mother for shade. So young bulls will sometimes come and interact with these cows, and these cows become aggressive towards those young bulls and they are dispersed away. Because sometimes when they're being playful, they might harm the young ones. So these elephants are super intelligent, and it's always nice when you watch them hanging out here in the savannah. Super cool.
So hard. Hello, everyone. I'm trying desperately to wrangle a tiny beetlie. It was very patiently sitting. There it is. It's just so gorgeous. It's also just so gone. It sat so patiently for so long, and now it's gone. A small dung beetle. Small dung rolling kind of a beetle. Anyway, we are in the area here looking for the Ngala pride of lions, which was seen this morning around here. Unfortunately, they seem to have moved. There are another two groups of people looking for them as well. So with any luck, we'll have some luck. But I'm really not sure if we are going to find them or not. The tracks would seem to indicate that they have not crossed out of the reserve. And so we'll just keep trying around this area. And maybe we'll be lucky. It's a most glorious afternoon, delicious temperature. Possibly some rain in the offing, but I think it's all clearing away now. And we should be in for a lovely evening. Oh, that's a nice bump. Right, we'll keep trying and see what happens around here.
Okay.
Best of luck. I hope that we are able to find the lions. Well, here we moved aside, let the vehicles through, and then found this lovely elephant that is grazing not far from the giraffe. You can see it's quite muddy. It's been having a good day at the spa, I think. There's mud all around with the rains that we've been having. And that's exactly what an elephant likes. It's quite far away, but I'm hoping that it moves towards us. CJ, you'd like me to please give you the dimensions of an adult elephant's ear. Well, obviously it depends on whether it's a male, whether it's a female, how large the elephant is, things like that. But if you want a rule, the surface area of an elephant's ear is about 20% of its body's surface area. So that way you are able to calculate the surface area of the ear for any animal, because there's no rule for how large the ear is, because obviously it depends on the animal. Females are half the size of males, and so that can be a difficult thing to place a rule on. So 20% of the surface area of the animal's total surface area lies just in the ears. But obviously that's surface area, so if you want to work out the dimension, or if you work that out, you'll have to divide that by 2, because the surface area would be the front and the back, and you just want the dimensions of it. Oh, there's a giraffe drinking right here. The thing with lots of rains is that you get puddles. Oh no. That was nice. You just missed it. We get puddles that fill up with water, so animals don't have to actually go to dams. So you can't just stake out an area where you're going to assume animals will come to, because they have a whole lot of these little pans all over the place that they can drink from. It's so nice to see different animals feeding together. Reggie, you'd like to know if elephants use their trunk or their mouths when they cry. When young elephants, if you're thinking about that scream that they make, when our young elephants do that, they're using their voices, using their voice box to create that sound. When elephants trumpet, they're using their trunk. But that screechy sound that you'll hear, it can often be a combination as well, but they're definitely using their voice to create part of that sound. Remember that the trunk is a fused upper lip and nose, so it can produce quite a bit of sound. And it's also a very strong appendage, very muscular, and can create good vibration. It's also important to remember that they're not only communicating with audible sound that we can hear. They're also communicating these low rumbles, and these low rumbles are definitely created by the voice box. Being larger animals, they have bigger vocal folds and a larger voice box that allows them to create those lower frequency sounds with which those elephants can communicate with.
From the elephant communication to a giraffe, lone giraffe, female giraffe here, she looks super pregnant. It seems like maybe in a month's time she'll be giving birth. She was walking slowly. This time giraffes can be vulnerable to lions because sometimes when they see an isolated giraffe like this, they might decide to go after. And since she's pregnant, she's a little bit heavy, so even her pace has slowed down a little bit. When it comes to running, cannot be that fast as compared to one that is not pregnant. Over the distance is another giraffe also. You'll be walking slowly. You see them feeding around in the cooler times of the day, in the morning, in the afternoon. They're so keen, they have very sharp eyes. So whenever they're walking around, they stop around and look to scan the area. We've been able to locate lions out in this long grass because of the help of giraffes. Whenever they see predators, they will stop around and look, stare at them, ears pointing forward like how she's doing right now. So if it was serious, they'll just point their ears forward and the eyes glued to one side and then walk towards the predator. But keep a safe distance, and that's how we can tell if they've seen a predator. She's not seen anything there that she was worried about, so she's happy going about her activity to join the other giraffe. Sometimes after the rains, you see them splaying their legs open to eat grass on the ground, as opposed to when they feed from bushes to bushes, which is their typical behavior because of their long neck that helps them get to the tallest ridge. Look at how that other giraffe is doing. It's actually doing the same because they have the aid of capillaries on their necks that help them control the blood flow from the heart to the brain. So whenever they bend down, those blood vessels, the capillaries, help them control blood, making sure the amount of blood, even though they've bent the necks down or standing tall, is still the same flow. This giraffe is slowly walking into the bush, and I'm sure he's going to join the rest of the family there, and so we'll just drive off and find something else to watch.
This giraffe here is going to meet the rest of his group. Our elephant has moved off. I was so hoping it would walk in our direction instead of away. Seems like our giraffes are also moving a little bit more west. But we do have these few guys who are still busy feeding. Now this looks like the same group that I recently saw necking, or play fighting, play necking, shall we say. That's when they swing their heads and their necks and try to point those ossicones towards their opponent, and that's how they get bald on the top. You see how they're balding on the top there? And it's a very interesting thing to watch, a very awkward thing, and that's how the giraffes will determine dominance, especially for mating rights. One by one, they seem to be moving west. Yes, one leads them, and then they all go.
Well, our lioness has left the previous spot, and now she has changed location completely. Looks like she's got some cubbies, but I don't know exactly where she has left them, and she is in need of a meal, and a very desperate meal, because she cannot go back to the cubs without having eaten. Looking at her, I would say she's one of the Olololos, because the Olololo breakaway or the Oinos don't have cubbies yet, and this one is suckling. So she has walked a very long way, and I don't know if she's at risk of, being attacked by the other females. I don't know, but I'm hoping that, she doesn't, and she gets to get her kill. She's somewhere, we've lost her, but she's somewhere coming. Definitely, I would say she's one of the Olololos. She would be coming out here. Here she is. Yeah, she has used that meta drain to get closer to the wildebeest and zebra that are on to my left, and there is a good number of them. We have zebras and wildebeest all around the other side, and that's where we'll be following her. I'm hoping that she will get a meal. She's just behind me now, and there's nothing I can do apart from reposition. And while I do that, let me see how I can do this. Well, she's following the road, as you can see. We'll be sharing that with you right now. She's following the road, and she's trying to stay as low as possible. On that, there's a little bit of a ditch, as you can see, and she's trying to use that to get as close as possible, so that she can go out onto the open plains. If she crosses here, she'll go onto these bushes and then follow them up. But I think also she's going to have a good advantage point up there, so she can see which wildebeest or zebra she's going to get close to. Looks like she's just having a stroll, but what is going on in her mind, believe me, is a lot. She needs to make a kill, and it has to be today. This is very exciting. I hope you're enjoying it too. I'm gonna let her walk a little bit up without disturbing her. Let her enjoy the path all by herself, and hopefully she'll leave the road, and then we can follow her. This area we are allowed to do off-road, so it's gonna be fun to follow her off the road as she goes hunting. Definitely, if you look in between her legs, and every time she turns, you'll see that her titties have been used, and so she's suckling. You see that? So definitely she needs to get a meal. Lions don't need to eat every day, but if they get something, they will, hunt almost every day. And once eaten a very good meal, they can go for a very long time, up to around 6 to 7 days without eating. I'm gonna let her do the same thing again. Let her be free, do her own thing. I don't want to get too close. She must start running. And also, if there's an animal, while looking at the vehicle, it might see the lioness, which means I have interfered with the hunt. See how big her paws are? They're actually kicking some dust. If you notice that, there's a little bit of dust being kicked every now and then. Very shiny coat means that she is very healthy. Well done. I was hoping she was gonna go that side because there is a lot of wildebeest and zebra up that side, and it's a perfect area for her to go. I don't know if we'll be able to see them from here, Bungay. Will you? Let's see. There is a good number of zebra and wildebeest. There in the horizon. You see them? There they are. So that's what she really wants to go for. But the strategy she's using, I don't know. She wants to go up the hill maybe and then turn around, start coming down, because maybe the grass is taller here. Remember, she has been in this area long enough. She's always in this area, so she knows this terrain really, really well. And she knows what she's doing. Where is she? Yeah, there she is. You can tell she's walking on that gully, between the road and off the road. And there, she won't be noticed because it's very, very low. I'm gonna try and get closer to her again. Well, she looks like she's one of the oldest lionesses. Of the River Pride, and she is the one, I think, with the 4 cubs. Why did she stay still? Is there something up there? I don't know. Could be that there is something there. I don't know, but I'm staying here to see what she's going to do. Do you see how still she is? She's not moving as she was moving, but it doesn't mean that the hunt is over. She could be judging on whatever she has seen, if it's necessary. Okay, you see she has sat down, but it's not over until it is over. I don't know.
Good afternoon again. Here I am reclining next to a mud wallow, and I am next to a lion track. Here is the track of a lioness who walked past here when this was a little bit wetter. I think probably sometime possibly early this morning, but I think yesterday, because the ground was very much softer than it is now. Now it is rock hard, and no lion would leave any mark at all. The news is that the Djuma Pride has crossed over the boundary and gone off towards the west, where we cannot go, into Mordor, and so unfortunately we are not going to see the Djuma Pride today unless they decide to return, which is very unlikely. The other track we have here, you're going to tell me about. Here is the track of a cloven-hoofed beast. Which beast was it? Have a look at the track and tell me if you can identify which beast it was. Allow me to put my hand next to it so that you may judge the size. There, it's my hand. And remember that it's going to look bigger than it would normally, because when this beast walked past here, the ground was very muddy. And so it would have left a larger hoof print than it may have otherwise. Other things to note about this particular track. are the following. It's quite square at the front, you can see. It's almost rectangular as opposed to round and heart-shaped. And for me, that's always the giveaway. And the other is that the outer clove of the hoof is wider than the inner part of the hoof. Nebulana, you say that you think this is a giraffe. No, it's not a giraffe. If it was a very, very tiny giraffe, it could be a giraffe, but the shape would be different. It would look much wider, also pretty rectangular, but very round in the front. And the cloves are very similar sized. Whereas this one, you can see the outer clove is different from the inner one. Flop Tycoon, you say a zebra. No, a zebra is from an entirely different order, and they are even-toed ungulates, not at least odd-toed ungulates, not even-toed ungulates. They've only got one hoof, like a horse, or a donkey, or a mule. They don't have cloven hoofs. They are exactly like a horse, or a mule, or a donkey. So no, it is not a zebra. Anyone else care to hazard a guess? We're getting closer. Tracy, you say a kudu. It is the same mass as a kudu, but it is not a kudu. And a kudu has got a very rounded, heart-shaped track. So it's not a kudu. We're getting there, though. Almost there. I suspect the next guess will be the correct one, now that I've told you that it is the same mass as a kudu, but not a kudu. What else could that be in this area? Oh, Michelle? Hooray, Michelle, you are correct. It is a wildebeest. So, a wildebeest, fairly rectangular, outer clove, quite sort of blunted, if you like. Inner clove, a little bit sharper, rectangular track, big-ish. There it is. Michelle, well done. You win my undying admiration for succeeding with this particularly difficult tracking quiz. Excuse me while I find my way back to the car.
Welcome to your very own live safari here at Tswalu Kalahari. You're joining myself, Kyle, and Glenn behind camera. We are situated in the northern side of Tswalu Kalahari right now, and we are following up on the mother and two that we had this morning. We're physically tracking at the moment. We've been busy for about an hour and a bit. She has moved slightly south from where she was this morning. Her and the two young suburbs are moving south. Haven't caught anything yet. We've been reading the tracks. They are moving, and they have been walking pretty steady from where we found the tracks from this morning. Thank you for joining us on your sunset safari, Central African time 3 p.m. I hope everybody's well. So we're going to keep on this cheetah, and in the mix of things, hopefully we can find some other smaller things as well. But finding this mother and three and how active she will be, because she did miss an attempt this morning, so that tummy is going to be quite hungry, and hunger pushes a cheetah to that point where she has to catch something, and she's having those two sub-adults also relying on her, so it's all up to her. And obviously those young ones starting to learn now, so hopefully we can find them and then hopefully join them on the hunt. We're in the perfect spot. They're in an open area. They're coming to an area where antelope really converge quite a lot to a water source, and that would be perfect for her, and as an opportunity to find a suitable prey item. Steenbok, springbok, even a grey duiker or a young antelope. So that 50% ratio we saw this morning that they did miss. So 50% of their hunts are successful and 50% are not. So hopefully today she does have success, and it would be marvelous to see. Seeing that animal move after a prey item is something spectacular, and something we hope that we can show you folks this afternoon. Did we find the jackals from this morning? Myself and Glenn looked fairly hard. We actually sat in that position for about another half an hour. We sat there, we had a cup of coffee. Actually, we had a cup of tea. Glenn brings us tea every single morning, which is such a nice thing to have out in the bush. We sat there for about a half an hour, and we tried to just pinpoint where these animals are moving. That's the easiest way on how you're going to find them, is watching their movements, where they're coming from and where they're going to. But we're going to return there and hopefully we will get lucky. We'll find them, don't worry. Fingers crossed, we will find them. But yeah, if we do locate them, obviously watching those smaller mesocarnivores is really, really, really nice. The bigger mammals are also very important, very intriguing, but these smaller ones are something, these smaller animals are animals that are not often looked at, which is really exciting for us.
We also found a very exciting little sighting here. We drove past this big dead marula tree, and Craig had a very good spot of a rock monitor lizard. So yeah, welcome on to andBeyond Phinda. We were actually looking for some cheetah. My name is Devalt, and behind the camera we've got Craig. And we have been driving around looking for the female cheetah that we saw this morning, but then we found this big rock monitor lizard inside this tree here. And we think he might actually be sunbathing in there. It could be that he was trying to get away maybe from a predator on the ground or so, but you can see he's right at the top there. It seems like he's found a spot it looks fairly uncomfortable to me now that I think of it, but maybe he finds it quite comfortable. You can hear the wind blowing, so it's a nice cold wind that's blowing at the moment. So I think he's trying to get into the sun as much as he can up there and trying to raise his body temperature a little bit. See the lines on his tail there as well, the bands that he's got. Those claws hanging down on the other side there. Incredible animals. And what a big rock monitor it is. One of the bigger ones that I've seen on Phinda. Quite exciting to find the animals that we don't usually see. See them every now and then. If I was him, I would have just climbed a little bit higher up so he can lie. But you can see the fact that one front paw is just hanging down like that. He's not really holding on too much, just relaxing up in the tree there. And look at all the beautiful markings on his back there as well. I'm sure you know that monitor lizards, like all other reptiles, or most other reptiles, are cold-blooded or exothermic, so they need to try and find some external heat source, which is most of the time and almost always the sun. Try and get his body temperature up. Especially after a couple of days of rain or so, there hasn't been too much sun, so he's making use of it as much as he can. There's quite a bit of sun coming out now from behind the clouds that we've got, and you can see the sunshine on those bands on his tail there. I'm sure he's really enjoying that. Now there's a few birds actually jumping around in the tree there next to him as well. I wonder if they even know that he's there. Magic Dragon, you're asking what a fitting name for the sighting, first of all, but you're asking if there's any birds of prey or so that might grab him out of the tree. It'll have to be a very, very big eagle, something like a martial eagle, or even in maybe the denser areas on Phinda, African crowned eagle. But this is quite a big monitor lizard. I it'll have to be one of those big eagles. Otherwise, in this particular area, I've seen martial eagles a few times, but it'll have to be one of those. I'm sure he'll put up quite a fight. Oh, they can just see his head coming over, putting his head onto the branch, and also keeping an eye on us as well. You can see it's a rock monitor lizard just by looking at the shape of the face. Water monitor lizard is a little bit of a narrower face or so. But for now, I think we're gonna leave him be, let him enjoy his little a little bit of sunbathing there, and see if we can keep on looking for those cheetahs.
Well, the lioness has repositioned, and there is a stalemate now. The zebras are very alert, although a few are becoming a little bit playful. This is an added advantage to the lioness if they continue playing and pay no attention. You can tell that, she is not really on her haunches, so she is well hidden where she is, and the zebras cannot see her. You can tell the zebra is looking at me. I hope he doesn't see her. And a zebra will be a perfect meal for her. Actually, it will be too much of an effort for her to bring down one, but it will be a very, very big meal. The situation, I'm sure, right now, with everybody between, the zebra and the wildebeest, is that they don't know the lioness is here. As you can see, they're not paying attention at all. It's a very added advantage to the lioness. Okay, I don't know if she's gonna make a move now. Yeah, she might make a move to make sure that all is in order. Let's see what she's going to do. I don't know what her strategy will be, but she might follow the same course where she is. So, I don't know, I'm just very confused on which way she's gonna go. I was hoping that the zebra would, actually lie on the road and do the dust bath, but they didn't. If they had done that, that would be a very bad mistake, because she would have taken off from where she is and just rushed towards them. Looks like she's up and she is stalking. I'm gonna let you enjoy this for about 30 seconds, what she's doing, and then I'm gonna come back. This is all being a lioness takes. You have to be very, very careful. It's not easy being a lion or a lioness. Everybody is aware that you're going to kill them, and so you have to be very, very careful. And one small mistake can cause you to miss a meal for another 2 to 3 days, which the lioness doesn't want that right now. I can sort of think that she's going to change directions by the way she's behaving. Either she wants to cross the road and go stalking on top of the grass to my right. I don't know exactly what she wants to do. Okay, I think she has decided to just stay put for a little bit longer and hope that the zebras will reposition themselves for a good stalking position. Looking from where we are, you might think that she's very close, but I would say she's a good maybe 300 meters. That is a lot of distance. She needs only about 60 feet to be able to chase and bring one down. A zebra also doesn't go down easy because they can kick, and that kick can actually kill her or even dislocate her jaw. Juzik, Jumbo, you want to know if one lioness can bring down a zebra? Yes, it can. They are very, very strong. They weigh about 100 to 120 kilos, but they can bring an animal 300 kilos down. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of stamina, but they can bring one down. Usually it will take a good 10 to 30 minutes to really subdue and kill a fully grown zebra. So it's not a walk at the park for the lioness also. She's doing really, really well. The zebras, as you can see, they're oblivious that she's there and they're not paying attention. And I think this is where we say, not paying attention costed her life. And I think this will be the case. If they don't continue paying attention, one will pay the price. I don't know how close she is, or she sees another one right around the bend because I cannot see it. Yeah, CG, Jumbo, you want to know if zebras have good sense of smell? Yes, they do. Very, very good. All their senses are very, very good. But at the moment, there's no use because there's no wind. It's dead still. So there's no wind, so they won't pick up the lioness. Actually, you can tell that there is a zebra off to the left. I don't know if you see it, Bungay. That one there. I don't know if there is more there. And if those zebras on the road cross to follow that one, then definitely we're going to have a kill. You will appreciate those documentaries where they show you a lion hunting and then it takes down a zebra with wildebeest. This is how long it takes, sometimes hours and hours, but they edit it. Over here, we are live. We're coming from the Masai Mara, and you're watching this here in the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle. I'm actually tense a little bit. I usually get like this when I see things like this, and things might get intense once she gets closer. Well, I'm going to stay here for a little bit longer. Believe me, if something happens, we'll be, with you. So let me take you to another safari vehicle.
From the other side of the Mara, where that lioness is talking, I hope she's successful. Now we have a lioness that is waiting patiently and staring at the Mara River here. She's at the bank. Could be some animals that tried to come and drink. Maybe they are pursuing them. Because there's two lionesses over here. There's nothing in the water, only the hippos. Of course, they can't go inside the water to get the hippos. There's crocodiles there. You can see a crocodile swimming upstream. Look at how that crocodile is blending with that water. And I'm thinking that is the reason why that lioness is staring at the croc. I've seen it in times where there's a kill just by the next to the bank, and the crocodile is trying to nibble on the carcass, and the lion also, so there comes to be a struggle. But sometimes you find the crocodile wins, or the lionesses win, or the big lion wins. So it's that time of the day when activity comes to happen, where these lions will be walking up around because it's a little bit cool, so they'll be enjoying that hunt. There's lots of plains games around here. We have lots of zebras, we have lots of wildebeest. I'm sure Isaac is watching the other lioness, maybe stalking. Could be zebra, wildebeest. And while here we have these two that are waiting patiently. Most of the time they'll see them preferring to hunt at night. But when an opportunity comes, they'll hunt even during the day. That other one is still staring at the crocodile. Sometimes when these crocs see animals on the bank, they swim to approach the riverbanks just in case these animals might want to go and drink. So there's also a third lioness, but it's actually hidden in the grass. Look at how she's flicking her tail. That shows that she's seen something. She's now ignored because he knows definitely the croc will not come out. But just curiosity. We've seen at times where these lions have pursued prey and end up jumping in the water. So I'm going to wait here and see what this lioness is up to as we link you over to another safari vehicle.
All right, nice tangled mess of vegetation, or beautiful mess at that. But we just would like to introduce everybody to a very special item we found a couple of days ago. It is a beautiful nest concealed so well. Look at that. In the middle of the screen, that woven, almost looks like woven material straight in the middle of your screen. That is a nest of a Kalahari scrub robin. And we have found this female to be fairly active. So she is busy maintaining it, and as well as completing the structure in the likelihood of putting eggs in it. And if she does, it would be absolutely wonderful to go through the process of having eggs, first a little bit of building, having eggs, and then watching her provision these little ones with food. They are monogamous, so these birds will form a very strong monogamous pair bonds, and we are in the favorable period to where these birds would lay eggs. Birds generally coincide with the summer period. Some birds, they lay the eggs in winter, like our sandgrass, but they are ground nesters. So for this bird over here, being a nest builder, when she does lay the eggs and those little ones hatch, they are helpless. So mom and dad have to provide food over a certain duration for this little one to develop. And concealing it is very important, but they coincide, their nest building and breeding, with that of summer, because summer brings rains and the rains bring insects. And so birds would vary their diet between insects, a little bit of seeds here and there, and some birds even nectar. But having protein for this little developing chick is very important. Protein is a very important thing for that little one to grow really, really strongly until it finally fledges as an adult. So we just thought we would introduce you folks to this wonderful site. It is obviously sensitive, so when we are here, we're going to do minimal movement. Obviously, if she is there, we won't be walking around, but we have a perfect spot. The vegetation is like molded this perfect little hole for us just to see the nest. It is sublime. So it's definitely something that we'll be focusing on. And when do you ever get to see a Kalahari scrub robin building a nest? I've never. This is my first Kalahari scrub robin nest to be found. I love finding nests. It's a real challenge sometimes, understanding the bird as well as the habitat and their behavior, all in correlation, allows you to find these wonderful concealed little items.
So we were still looking for those cheetahs, and then we actually spotted a group of rhinos far in the distance, and we quickly drove around, and it seems like it might actually be a little grouping crash of a female and a youngster. And look at this youngster looking to the left hand side there. There's actually two coming to join them here. And it's just starting to follow mom now. Almost disappearing in the long grass there. And they're slowly feeding in this direction. I'm hoping that if we stay here for long enough and keep nice and quiet and don't talk too loudly, and they might actually come nice and close to us, and you can get even a better view of the youngster there. See those two that's coming on. One actually has a nice horn there, and they just following this female and the youngster. We actually saw similar grouping this morning. I'm pretty sure it's the same animals we saw, and it seems like it's again just one youngster that's maybe the old calf of the female that's still following them. They are slowly feeding down the hill here after the bit of rain. Look at the youngsters backing himself towards his mum, just keeping an eye on those other two. See how their heads are down as they're walking, they're just feeding. Looks like they've been in the mud recently. The youngster's got a bit of a two-tone body there, and all of the other rhinos are quite dark in colour, maybe from being wet recently or having some mud on them or so. If I look through my binoculars, seems like they've got not too much mud on them, but they are quite dark. Christina was saying rhinos are so fascinating. I agree. Very, very interesting animals, and they all have their own personalities and often react differently to our presence and also to each other also. You'll maybe see this youngster moving quite sporadically and being quite energetic compared to the older ones, because he is relying on mom's milk for food. The rest have to eat all the time, and he can just play and move around and only drink milk every now and then. Not like the others, they have to sustain themselves with grass only. Oh, this wind is picking up, and there's a few clouds now in front of the sun as well. See how these other two rhinos, they are quite a bit smaller than the female. Just picking up the pace every now and then to kind of catch up with her, trying to stick with her. Almost bonded themselves to her to have an adult with them. Quite catching up with the female there. That we're actually almost going to lose them now. They're heading over this little hill. See if there's maybe a road on the other side for us to get a view of them again. See, the one with the horn is actually pretty close to the female there. But for now, I think we're going to stick around, Craig and I, and maybe head around to see if we can get a view on the other side there.
We have a lovely little herd here at Buffelshoek Dam. Can you hear the red-billed buffalo weavers squawking away? Love Buffelshoek Dam for this blacksmith lapwing going here as well. These two were just having a drink. Now they're done. It's not a very big herd. It's about maybe 10 to 12 that we can see at least. Ooh, that's interesting. It just stepped on its own end of trunk, rolled it up in the mud, and then smacked it on its forehead, put it in its mouth. Is your trunk too long for you? Follow the sounds. I wonder if you can hear the hippos in the background too. Also not very happy. I'm just going to grab that question from you again. Or rather the viewer's name. It was a question about the weights of elephants. Mrs. Bait Cloth, I think. I hope I got it right. You wanted to know how much elephants weigh. A large cow, or rather, let's start with a large bull, up to 6 tons. So it's 6,000 kgs. And a cow is about half of that, but up to 4 tons, 4,000 kgs. Unsure where to go. I'm just going to roll back a little bit. Maybe she wants some space. Although she's... Oh, never mind. The car doesn't want to roll. She does seem like she's very comfortable. Although she is going to walk in front of the vehicle in front of us in a second. I'm going to reverse just a little bit. Have a look at this one here having a drink. Ashmika, you'd like to know if elephants have a better memory than humans. It's a really difficult thing. They definitely have a good memory, but whether their memory is better than humans is a difficult thing to be able to determine because we're not the same animal and we can't really run tests to show which has a better memory. I would think in my experience that humans have a more complex structure for memory storage than elephants do, but for how long they can remember something, I wouldn't know in comparison to a human. Because memory is a very, very complicated thing. It's not just about how long you can remember something or whether you go to your childhood suburb and you can still remember how to go to all your favorite haunts. But it's far more complex than that. Memory can be associated with all sorts of senses, particularly smell. Just watching what's going on there. You would have heard that trumpet. So, Ashmika, elephants have a great memory, and in the animal kingdom, I'm sure that there's a right at the top. But our brains are very, very complex. So is an elephant's, but our brains are very, very, very complex. So if I had to choose, if I had to put money on it, I'd say our memory is more complex. Because better is a difficult term to use. And I'd say elephants were a close second. Eating away at some buffalo thorn. One of the tastier trees out here. Huh? The hippos are not too happy, as it generally is when there's a lot of hippos in a dam. And the elephants are around. The hippos like to just tell them, hey, this is my spot, and they open their mouths and display a little bit. Well, I'm going to hang around here, and I'll show you the hippos in a little bit.
We were were looping around to see if we can get a view of those rhinos on the other side, and we actually came onto a little rise here, and just below us we found some giraffe. And look at this one actually coming much closer to us. She's seeing something on the ground there, and now she's looking straight at us. Oh, look at that. And it's quite special because we basically above the giraffe looking down at them. Oh, she's going down. It looks like she's looking at something to maybe pick up or so. To give it a moment and see what she does. There's quite a few of them around actually. She was feeding on that tree behind her, which actually looks like a white milkwood, which has got like a bit of a milky latex in it. Not a lot of animals that love to feed on that. She's listening to us, but yeah, she's looking down to the ground every now and then. Wonder if there's maybe something that she wants to eat or so. Sometimes giraffe might even chew on bones, and often they look down to the ground like that. She's a little bit wary of us before she drops her head down close to the ground. Let's see. No, she's lost interest. But she's coming to feed on this bush right here next to us. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Literally like 5 meters or so away from us, just below us. Craig actually has to do some gymnastics here on the back of the vehicle to be able to get this camera angle. She keeps on listening into this bush here, and now a little bit towards us as well. I think this wind is also blowing our scent away from her. That's why she's happy to be this close to us. But look how she's just peeping at us from behind the bush there. TR, you're asking if giraffe lie down when they rest and how they rest. So it depends on different areas, but giraffe on Phinda specifically, they actually do lie down. They tend to find spots where it's a little bit of a clearing or a little bit open, and they'll lie down on their haunches, and what they'll do is they'll actually tuck their head in behind their shoulders, almost like a bird does behind its wing. Quite interesting how they do that. But obviously they are very vulnerable when they lie down like that, because they have to be able to get up very quickly when there's predators around. So they don't often do it, but they do it from time to time. Look at that one feeding there on that white milkwood now, just like the others did. Tree with no thorns on it, but has the milky latex, which is a little bit poisonous, to help it protect itself against some of the animals that might need to browse on it. But obviously these giraffes are not affected by it, seems at all. But yeah, these giraffes, they'll even feed on tamboti in this area, which is a tree that's also got a poisonous latex in it. Look at that, licking her lips and into her nostrils there as well. Haven't seen a male yet, so it seems like these are all a couple of females that's around here. But for now, I think Craig and I are going to leave these giraffes. They'll probably stick around this area, nice big trees for them to feed on, and then maybe find a spot to lie down, like we said, a little bit later on. We're going to see if we can get a view of those rhinos again.
We have managed to find an animal, a few animals, and well, it is something of a relief to BK and I, because it has been a very dry day of it so far. Anyway, there is a small herd of wildebeest grazing their way gently to the east on the plains of Simbambili.
So far we don't have any. The
Very pleasant afternoon, as I said. No wind to speak of. These chaps totally unharassed because our lions have gone completely in the opposite direction from where we expected them to. PK, would you like me to go back a bit, or are you happy where we are? We can go back a bit. Fantastic. I must just tell you, as we reverse slightly, that Bokomoso BK, the biceps, was born with enormous biceps, but eyes that weren't quite as effective as his big biceps. And so, as of today, he is wearing a pair of dashing spectacles. And for the first time in his life, he has seen what a wildebeest looks like. He was under the impression that they were a lot smaller than that and red. And now he's quite pleased to note that they are dark and relatively large. Are you impressed, BK? Yeah. Must be like a whole new world for you, hey? They're roughly the same thickness as Coke bottle bottoms. I'm being unkind. They're not that thick. And in the background, the crowned lapwings, yelling their heads off. And a little squirrel shouting, probably seen a bird of prey. And all of you now very happy for BK. The next thing you'll be happy to know is that he did bring a snack today, and that means that his growling belly will soon be silenced. Takes a lot of fuel to power his biceps. On an afternoon like this, I could happily sit and observe these things for an hour, because it's very therapeutic, almost meditative, to watch them grazing slowly across the plains. And if you start to really connect, you can actually hear the individual bites as they tear little bits of grass and then chew and then take a few steps, and tear a little bit of grass and then chew and then take a few steps. And way in the distance, and you won't be able to hear this, is the sound of the cattle bells. I'm assuming that Mrs. Bates' class is not your name, but in fact a classroom full of people taught by Mrs. Bates. Well, Mrs. Bates' class, it depends on the animal as to how close you can get to it. A tortoise, for example, you can basically sit on. You can get that close to them because they can't really get away from you, and they don't try. They just fold up and into their shells and they don't move. Same thing with a chameleon or a snail. But something like a bird, you won't get close to at all before it flies away. Probably, no, depending on the bird, but you'd probably not get closer than 20 meters from the bird. These wildebeest, you could probably get to within about 30 meters before they'll just move away slowly and just increase the distance. So it does depend on the animal. Lions, if they're relaxed and sleeping, you can almost drive over them and they'll hardly move. Also depends whether you're in a vehicle or on foot. If you're on foot, the animals really don't like it and they'll move away quite quickly, even things like lions and elephants. But if you're in a vehicle, they don't see us the same way, and you can get very close to some of them. So I think we'll sit here a little bit longer and then see what else Simbambili has to offer.
It did have the elephants. In fact, one just went out of view. And then the hippos all went down as well. But this morning we had Tlalamba in this drainage. And she was actually, let me tell you about it. We couldn't get too good signal because it's down in the dip. But we're going to try again because she doesn't seem to have moved from there. We're not seeing tracks anywhere else. So I'm going to try again and see if we can relocate her. She was hunting a scrub hare. It was not pretty because she just kind of injured it and then played with it. And when I got there, it was about 15 minutes till the end of show, and she still hadn't eaten it by the time show ended. In fact, we stayed there for an extra maybe 10 minutes, and she was still playing with it. So let's go see if she's still there, and hopefully we'll be able to show you. But it's always good to just locate her if she is still in the drainage. And that way we'll be able to, when we come out of the drainage, or when she does, then we will be able to show you. So I'm going to try and relocate her in here. Wish me luck. Hopefully she doesn't take me through the hardest portions of Djuma like she did this morning.
I'm wishing her success in her find. Now back to our lions. They are still here, not gone anywhere. The other lion that was sleeping by the bank has really laid down, watching the hippos as they are fighting and chasing one another. So they're waiting, I think, to cool down, and then they start moving off towards the plains, where I can see in the background lots of wildebeest there. These lionesses, I had seen them about 2 days ago. They were trying to hunt. They failed while stalking some zebras. Look at how she's sleeping there. It's warm, a little bit of some breeze there. She's enjoying that weather. From a distance, you can't tell if it's a lion. I like the way she keeps on looking at the water there, as the hippos try to threaten her by puffing water, but she's not going to move. What scooped you? He's checking if the sisters are around. It's because it's cooled down, they can be active anytime from now. So we're hoping this evening they might be successful, because they failed, and they look like since that day they've not gotten something to eat. The other lioness has an injury on her left shoulder. I'm suspecting either she got the injury from a wildebeest or a buffalo where she was trying to put her down. Sometimes these lionesses go through a rough time as they're finding food. They end up being knocked down, injured, or sometimes they can even die from the injury caused by these animals. If you look carefully, you'll see that she has a wound on her left shoulder. Squares, thank you for your question. A lioness will take an antelope on her own, especially a fully mature lioness, because they're specialized, they are very, very experienced. So an antelope will be easy catch if it's close to where they are. So it's easy for them just to go for an antelope other than the big game. But being in a pair like this, they'll prefer going for a bigger or larger prey like wildebeest, zebra. So when they look at how she's sniffing the air to pick in some scent. I'm still going to wait here and watch as they rest, and hoping that they'll be active soon. Remember, you're coming to you live, #WildEarth. Kids question at wildearth.tv, on the YouTube comment section at FC. Let's wait and see if these lions will make a move or maybe head to find some food as we link you over to another safari vehicle.
Well, things have gotten very, very tense here. The lioness tried, but she didn't get it. She didn't get anything. Nobody saw her. She's in front of me, and I have a little bit of company now. They usually, when they spot this vehicle, they know there is something. So we are following her now, and hopefully we'll be able to give her space so that she can do what she's gonna do. She's somewhere ahead, so I'm gonna try and find a position where I can have a good view. Sorry about this. Usually I try to be as much alone as possible, but there's nothing else I can do. This park belongs to everybody, and we all have the right to be here. There she is. I see her now. She's come into view. Bungay, you see her? Where she is. She's following the meter drain. You can see her over there. And she's stalking again. Well, this is what it takes to be a lioness. It's not a walk in the park being, the only one that eats meat, or one of the few that eat meat. It is very tough. It's been around 2 hours that I've been following her, and it's all been exhilarating, exciting. She hasn't had a good chase. She just ambushed, and actually they were running towards her, and for some reason one decided to stop and go back. And so I'm hoping that we're going to have another line of zebra come, but to the right, if you look, you'll be able to see that there's some zebra that are very close, and I think she's gonna go stalking for those ones. I'm gonna try and move closer and position in a nice spot where I can see both zebra and the lioness. And while I do that, let's see what another safari vehicle has to offer for us.
We've refound those white rhinos. They're actually coming much closer to us. We've been sitting patiently waiting for them, and this actually looks like the big female that's coming towards us here. I can't see the youngster. I think the youngster is lying down in the grass close by, so she might not move too far away from where he is. See, he might actually be behind his mom there. I haven't seen him for quite a bit now. See if he maybe gets up or so. See how she's just looking in this direction and listening to us as well. The wind's blowing away from them, so she has to rely on her hearing rather to see if she can find out what we are and if we pose a threat. You can see how big those ears and how big those nostrils are, and compared to the eyes, these two are what she's relying on the most. You can see how small those eyes are, so not the best eyesight in the animal world. She's actually stopped feeding for a little bit, just keeping an eye on us. Oh, there, she just picked up her head, and I think the wind just twirled a little bit and maybe gave her a bit of a scent of us. Reacting a little bit. Look at that. See how she's chewing there. Those nice flat lips, perfect for eating grass. Scotty, you are asking if rhinos sleep on their feet. They actually do not. They lie down and sleep lying down as well. So they sometimes find nice patches of sandy swell also where it's nice and soft for them. In this case, I think they'll find just some nice grass around this area, and they'll actually sleep lying down. I think the youngsters now close to some of the younger rhinos on the other side there, and their mom's just moving towards them now. There you can see the youngster coming towards mom. Almost like she was telling him, no, don't go close to those other rhinos. He's just coming around Mom now. You can see him just coming through the long grass. Janice, you are asking if rhinos are bigger than hippos. They're definitely higher than hippos when they're standing, and I'm not sure in length if they're longer. I think they might be similar, but rhinos are a little bit heavier than hippos, especially white rhinos, a bit bigger than what a hippo is. A black rhino, I think, should probably be around par with a hippo, to be honest. But both species, obviously, all three species, obviously, nice and big. They feed on the same things, though. These white rhinos, like you can see this, all of them, their heads down, feeding on grass. Hippos are also grazers, and also can walk long distances from the water that they spend in to feed on grass. See, if she keeps on feeding in this direction, we might see her maybe come into a little bit of a clearing in front of us or onto the road. But for now, I think Greg and I are just going to sit back and see what these rhinos get up to.
We are watching this very well lit female giraffe as she feeds on a knobthorn that's beginning to flourish at this early part of summer after our gorgeous rains that we've just had. Oh, what's got her attention? What's going on? Have a look in the distance in a moment. What is she moving towards? Hi, I'm Mike. Behind the camera is Seb, and you've joined us here at Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy on what is a very nice afternoon indeed. It's nice and warm. Well, actually, no, I'm joking. It's sunny at least, but it's very cold. Don't let the fact that I'm not wearing a jacket fool you. It is actually quite chilly. But this giraffe is beautiful, and she's feeding on these sparse knobthorns, just trying to get what she can because it's a time of plenty now. I don't know if you will see, I'm sure, on all the feeds here in the Lowveld of South Africa, that the bush is starting to liven up. Lots of green everywhere, flowers, and some of the migrant birds are back, and the trees are starting to get green. It's really, really quite a lovely time of year. Oh, this is a beautiful giraffe. She's got such lovely eyebrows, and eyelashes rather, I should say. Well, eyebrows are also quite nice on her. If a giraffe ever had nice eyebrows, it would be this one. You can see what she's feeding off of now is actually a leadwood, which is surprising. There's plenty of more palatable plants to be fed on this time of year. I guess she's just varying the diet. I guess not all vegetables taste great, but we eat them anyway, because we know they're good for us. You can see she's just clipping the ends off of those branches, some of the fresher, softer leaves there. She's got nice long snout, so she can really get in amongst those branches to get to the juiciest of the fresh shoots. And she just clips them off using the teeth on the bottom jaw there, and then puts them in the mouth and grinds them up. Just trying to put as much food in her belly as possible. I think this giraffe might be in the early stages of being pregnant. She's got quite a round belly, but I can't tell just yet. The belly's not incredibly huge. It definitely looks like it's a bit round, as you can see there. She's looking very healthy. She's glowing. There's a few oxpeckers also sitting on her back, making the most of a little bit of a schnack there, and also probably staying a bit warm. This wind is quite chilly, but you can see they're all gleaning their way through there, not just for parasites, but also for any dead skin and other materials that they could feed on, any bits of like hair, maybe for nesting material. It is the spring, so even the birds are nesting right now and breeding, so they'll also be taking fur from this giraffe, probably from the mane. She's got a lovely mane, and lining their nests with it. And she moves off. I wonder if she'll disturb that hippo. This last time we were driving exactly here, we were driving down this road and a hippo jumped out of these long grasses and ran to the water's edge and surprised another giraffe. So I wonder if this giraffe will do the same for us. That could be quite interesting. See how she's looking around, really staring, and every now and again she moves her ears back and forth just to listen to what might be around. Oh, that's an interesting plant to feed on. That looks like a common spike thorn of some sort. It's not very palatable, to be honest. But I guess, as I said before, just trying a whole bunch of different things, just getting nutrients and minerals wherever she can. Oh, there's a lovely view. So you can see the really stark contrast in the colors of this giraffe, from the white on the face and behind the ears to the black around the eyes, and then the beautiful disruptive pattern along the sides of her neck. So all of these help to not only communicate visually at a distance, but also camouflage her and break up her outline. It's really nice to see. She's got a very slender neck, as you can see. You can really see all the muscles moving together to move that neck and that head around. It's actually a really, really good view. And they look so clean right now. We've just had days and days of rain, sometimes very hard rain, sometimes much softer. What have you seen? She also looks like she spotted something. Alponzi, no, they don't have the same markings and colors. Some are much darker, some are much, much lighter. Some have very, very few light patches, and some have very, very few darker patches, you know, bigger blotches on their body. So they're hugely variable. Just like our fingerprints are incredibly unique to each and every one of us, and just like a leopard spots, or rosettes rather, are all unique, just the same for giraffes. So they're very, very different, each of them. And some of you will remember there was a very dark giraffe called TDH. He was a male, much larger than this female, and very, very dark, almost as dark as the tail on this giraffe here. The whole body, just except for those lighter patches between those dark blotches. So he was a very interesting male. I haven't seen him for a while. I thought I might have glimpsed him the other day, but he was quite far, so I wasn't 100% sure. But certainly no two giraffes are the same. You could easily build up an identifying kit for giraffes if you wanted. I'm sure some people have done it in the past, but I'm not sure if I could identify the giraffes here very easily yet. Certainly the dark male I could, and then some other males also with specific damages to their horns and such things can be identified. But I was mentioning that they just all look so fresh and clean at the moment, all the animals and the trees and everything, because of this rain that we've been having. It's really cleaned so much dust was on these animals before. Now it's all nice and clean and beautiful looking. And I wonder if there's other animals around here, maybe more giraffes somewhere in the distance. She's looked up a couple of times towards our left, or towards her left, well, sort of behind her now, towards things that are walking maybe on the horizon. And I wonder if there's more giraffes. She doesn't look particularly concerned, so I don't think it would be a predator of some sort. She probably would have stared a lot more intently. But it's probably just another animal, like an impala or a giraffe or a wildebeest, walking somewhere on these ridges. Renee, if I understood the question correctly, you're asking how do they know what's palatable to them? Or are you asking how do I know what's palatable? Well, I mean, if you're asking how they know, they can smell the grass, well, not the grasses, but the leaves, and they can... Ooh, how do I know? That is a good question, and I don't know what's palatable to them. To be honest, I just assume things are less palatable when I see less animals eating them. So, for example, the spike thorns are very bitter, full of tannins, and not particularly well browsed by other animals. So I don't see why she would eat that right now, but maybe there's some minerals or nutrients in them that she does want. And things like, Oxpecker gave her a bit of a fright there. Things like the magic guarri is also not very palatable. It's evergreen, it's very waxy and dry, not great. And then what we saw her eating first was a knobthorn, and that's a very soft-leaved tree full of nutrients. And we know that because we see almost every animal will often feed on knobthorns before they feed on anything else. Does she have something on her eyebrows there? No, it's just very long fur. Oh, I thought there was a lump on her eyebrow. A lot of giraffes do suffer from something called giraffe papillovirus or papilloma. So there's some giraffes in this area which might have that. I thought she might have had some on her eyebrow there. It's this kind of scab-looking virus, or the virus creates these scabs on their skin, but this one seems pretty healthy, so I don't think she does have it. But But yes, let's see what the little giraffes start feeding on over the next few days. Maybe less of the spike thorns.
Welcome back on board here at Tswalu Kalahari. Myself and Glenn have just stopped to enjoy this beautiful Sable bull, busy ruminating. And he has found such a wonderful spot under a tree. It's nice and cool today, nice slight breeze. But he is just in one beautiful setting. Look at that. We have some good news and we have some not so good news. We have managed to find a mother and three, and the good news is they have had a meal. They've killed a young kudu, but in the mix of things there was a troop of baboons, chakma baboons, that came through and actually chased them off the kill. They're about 2 kilometers north of us over here, and the place that they're in is just inaccessible at the moment. They're actually in a ravine line where we're going to be disturbing them on this kill, so we have decided just to move out. We've got confirmation that they've had a little meal, which is great for mom and those little ones, or not so little ones, but those sabals, but that's the great news. But unfortunately, we just can't get in there for now. But we're going to stick with the Sable, and then from here, we're going to go scratch around at the pan and see what we can pick up. I'm really happy that they got a meal, because that mother is just such a good mom at what she does. She's such a good parent. Just like we spoke of this morning, how hard it is for Cheetah, especially in the southern Kalahari and the Kalahari system as well. They really need to work hard, but they were successful, and that is great news. But unfortunately, those naughty bobbies, as baboons pushed them off the carcass. They're no threat, but baboons see cheetah as a threat. They might not be able to distinguish of that between a cheetah and a leopard, and that's why they see a cheetah and they just want to mob it, just to get it out the area. Cheetah won't go for baboon. Obviously, living in a big troop like that, safety in numbers, and baboon are very dangerous. They've got canines longer than that of lions and leopards, and they are not shy to use it. They've got opposable thumbs, which gives them a brilliant ability to hold onto an item, and then there's multiple individuals that can obviously enter and get in with this attack. So we've just left them be, because they've had a bit of a disturbance today, and we don't want to push them any further. We want them just to have their meal in peace, and then we'll follow up on the carcass. If we see it's an area that we can get into a bit later, we're definitely going to join the carcass and hopefully get jackal or hopefully a brown hyena coming in. But this chap just busy ruminating, obviously had his days full, and now in this later afternoon period he'll start digesting that material properly. But the motion, look at the motion which his mouth is moving, and that's how the teeth are designed. So they're designed in a manner that where he's basically rotating from right to left, and those teeth are working in between each other, basically like cogs to grind down the food.
Lioness still around Buffelsik Dam. I was scratching around for Kalamba. No such luck, but we found a very peaceful part of the herd and a not so peaceful part of the herd on this side too. Young males having a box, as you do. I just want you to listen. I want to be quiet. You can listen to them feeding, and then when these two decide to fight again, you can hear the tusks hitting each other, which is just a spectacular sound. Here we go. I'm boxed in now, so this is going to be a little bit problematic for me. So I'm just going to be quiet. Hello, boy. Yes, I know you're there, but I'd love if you went around me. There you go. There you go. Around you go. Around you go. Hello. Hey. Hey. Go around. Go around. Come on, I don't want to shout at you. You're just a young boy. Okay, there you've decided to feed. I can see you watching me while you're feeding. Oh, I know this herd. This is the herd with the female that has half a ear. And generally they're very relaxed, so that makes me comfortable. Boy, you are not going to fit through that. You can give it a go. You're okay. When you think you can fit in those pants and you really can't, that's what that squeeze right there was. You can often really tell the difference between a situation that is potentially dangerous, like that situation was potentially dangerous, and that's because it's a narrow road. The herd all decided to move at the same time, and then they came around here, and then those two boys also decided that they want to pass in this narrow side, even though there's enough space everywhere else for them to pass. But also you need to read the rest of the herd. The most problematic individuals are going to be those young males who are going to be pushed out and who have this surge of testosterone. That's why they're fighting, and they play fighting, really. And the rest of the herd is completely relaxed. And that's how I knew that even though anything can happen in that situation, I read the rest of the herd, and it's pretty much safe. But always potentially dangerous. So if you look now, everyone's eating quite happily. Nobody made any sort of noise towards me. They're just curious. And that young male that came squeezed itself on the side. He just clearly wanted to come round to that side. Something very good about the left side of the vehicle. Linnell, you want to know if it's an elephant graveyard? Wowza! Is a myth. There we have some mating elephants. And that is a little bit embarrassing for, I'm going to say, the male. If you heard that. If you didn't, that was a bit of flatulence because of the awkward position of the mating that was going on. Sorry, Linnell, you had a serious question, which was whether elephant graveyards are a myth. It is not a myth that there are places where bones of elephants are more likely to be found, and those may be termed elephant graveyards. However, those places are places, let me just see where they are so if I can turn around. Those places are places that old elephants go to because they've got worn down teeth and they need to eat vegetation that's soft and decomposing, like at the edges of a dam or a waterhole. So if lots of old elephants are going to the same place, they're likely to die in the same place. And then that can create an area where you'll find lots of bones of elephants. And one may think that this is an elephant graveyard. Elephants are going there to die. But in fact, they're going there to survive. But unfortunately, they die. All right, let's turn around. We might get one more view of them. I'll stick with them if it's a good one. If not, I'll continue on.
We've been sitting here with these rhinos, and all of a sudden out of nowhere there was just a big bull that came trotting in and making noises, obviously smelling these females. And he's off to the left-hand side. Look at this youngster. So cute. And here's the big bull right next to us. But they've all started feeding again. So I think he's kind of lost interest in the and the rest. I'm going to talk a little bit softer. The wind's blowing the sound and the scent away from these rhinos. The female with the youngster is actually feeding closer and closer to us. Let's see, we might have them come super close to us. I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit. Look at that. They're coming to investigate us. Yeah, especially the youngster. The rest are just feeding. But you can see his ears are just pointing towards us the whole time. A lot more nervous than his mom. How special is that? They're going to cross the road in front of us, it seems. I don't know if you could hear that, but there was just a sound from the mom chasing the other one away. Trish, you're asking how much grass they can eat in a day. Fully grown bull and female like this can probably eat around 40 to 60 kilograms of grass a day. Oh, the youngster has actually gone and lie down. They are so happy and relaxed with us being around here, with our scent blowing away from them, that the youngsters actually lie down completely, trying to rest a bit. This bull keeps on coming closer and closer to them. Let's see what the female does. Yeah, listen to that. I don't know if you can hear that snorting sound that she's making, telling the other two younger rhinos to stay away from her and her calf. How incredible is that? We are literally 5-10 meters away from 5 rhinos. So incredible. The grass is nice and long here. She doesn't have to drop her head down low to keep on feeding. Oh my goodness. You can just see the youngster lying down in the grass there. The bull's coming closer and closer, and the youngster's still lying down. I wonder if this female will turn around quickly and come and chase him away if he gets too close to her calf. Oh, the youngster got up. The bull's getting too close for comfort for him. Or for her, sorry, it looks like a young female. Might come onto the road now. Oh, look at the female crossing here. Nancy, you're asking what's a rhino's enemy? Rhinos don't have natural predators per se, but it happens that lions and hyena and so sometimes hunt them. So I would say all predators are probably the enemies. But rhinos sometimes can fight with or stand their ground against elephants or so. But other than that, I don't think they really have any enemies. But they are wary of predators. See, the bull's now getting very close to the youngster again. Mom's crossed the road completely. She's turning around now. She's keeping an eye on this bull. He's very careful coming too close to these other rhinos. Oh, yeah, something's happening. Look how cute this youngster is. Oh my goodness. Annie. Oh, listen to that. I don't know if you can hear that squeaking sound there. Oh my goodness. Look at this. That squeaking sound was the youngster calling to its mother. Annie, you are asking, sorry, I'm getting back to your question now. You were asking if rhinos are territorial. The bulls are, but the females are not. That's why this bull came racing closer, see if there's a female that's in estrus, but also to see if there's maybe a different bull that needs to be fought with. Look at the youngster just standing next to Mom there. How incredible that we are so close to these rhinos with this little calf. And she's so happy with us being so close to her. See, the one that just crossed the road now with the little horn, is actually a young bull, and actually both these two younger ones that are following the female and the calf are bulls, but I think they are still very young and not posing a threat to this dominant bull that came into this area later on. Yeah, there was a bit of a sneeze from one, and could just hear one breathing out of it. Hear the grunting sound and the snorting sounds the female's making the whole time, telling these other rhinos to keep their distance from her and her calf. Very interesting behavior. And again, I think the fact that our scent is blowing away from them just shows how much they rely on that sense of smell. But for now, I think we're going to stick around and keep looking at what happens here. Very interesting behavior. Sorry about that, we are in the wild, so technology doesn't always play with us, but these rhinos are still here right next to us. The bulls just crossed the road in front of us, but now the female and the calf is a nice distance away. Interesting how the bull keeps on creeping closer to them. Maybe he's still not sure exactly of the female and if she will go into, if she's an estrus or not, but with a small calf like that, she won't be going into estrus anytime soon. See how she's turning towards the bull now. He's getting closer and closer to the calf that's actually lying in the grass. You can just see its ear. Here we go. Youngster just got up. Mom's kind of like calling her to come closer. Interesting how the bull is quite wary to go too close to that youngster. He probably knows this female will put him on his place if he gets too close. Quite a lot of scratch marks along his side there, and a few of them have lots of flies sitting on them, but also quite a few bit of mud. And so, especially on the female on this bull, I can just see some dried mud on his back there, on his bum. But he's been walking through a place where there's been lots of branches scratching along his side. See, the females are kind of turning towards him now. They're all very happy with this long grass here and lush green grass starting to come out now everywhere. very happy to just keep feeding. Look at those lips of that bull. So interesting. You don't often get to see them feeding like this, and don't often get to see their lips move, as they're always with their heads down. But with the grass being a little bit longer, you can get a view of it. He's coming to block our view of the youngster and the mom. But I think we might move our vehicle a little bit, see if we can get a bit of a different angle of them. But for now, I think we will stick around.
Look at this large bird. Ladies and gentlemen, this is such a treat. It's something that we see quite frequently on Tswalu. You need to go out and search for it, and you need to know where to look. So these birds are predominantly uncommon to the southern parts of their range, but are more frequently seen up in the northern part of South Africa and the northeastern part of South Africa, including large conservation areas such as Tswalu. Makes a prime habitat. They need large trees, obviously, to rest in. But look at the size of this bird, weighing between 1.5 and 2.5 kilograms and still achieving flight. That's a lot of weight, and this is an owl. So one of the largest species of owl. Within the region, you'll have the pales fishing owl, which is also a very specialized bird, hunting fish at night, which is quite crazy. And it's such a treat to see. Oh, he's tired. But such a treat to see this amazing, amazing large specimen. So females in this species will be larger, almost 10% larger and 30% heavier than that of the male. But what a remarkable animal. Hunting birds up to the size of guinea fowl. I've seen them within a tree, and then in the talons was a spotted eagle owl. I'm sure you guys have seen spotted eagle owl on the safaris, but this bird will even take out a spotted eagle owl. Piglets, this young warthog it'll take out. So it's not shy to go after the larger mammal and as well as avian birds. But where Glenn is getting into now, that beautiful pink eye line, or basically eyelid, that is a very, very easy characteristic to ID this large species of owl. And then that semicircle half moon, a black stripe coming from the eye all the way around down to the beak, giving it a very cupped formation. Beautiful, beautiful owl. Those little tufts that you see on top of frame, those are aiding in camouflage, breaking the animal's body line up and allowing it to blend in with its cryptically colored plumage. But it is snoozy. We've been sitting here for about 10 minutes. It's looked at us once or twice, given 2 yawns, and otherwise it's just taking it very easy. Cameron, why does this Verreaux eagle owl have pink eyelids? I don't think it actually has any significant use. I think it's just a characteristic which has been passed down. I don't know why it would actually have. That's a very intriguing question. Maybe it has the pink eyelids, so when it closes its eyes, it's visually appealing, so that if a predator or something else sees it, it kind of resembles an eye looking at it, or an eye open. So it might resemble or give it a false impression that it's being watched or watching something. But having the pink lining and why, I'm really not sure. That's a very intriguing question, and I'm going to have to look up a little bit more to clarify the answer. But if I had to think along the lines of just thinking practically, those eyelids would definitely give animals a false impression that it's watching them. You'll find other smaller owlets actually have what they refer to as false eyes. So 2 dark patches at the back of the head, which gives the impression that they are watching all the time. So especially from an attack point of view or a prey point of view, if you've got eyes on something, it's not going to attack you. But a remarkable bird. But that bird's eyes are just slightly open. You can see the little slits. That bird's eyes are still open and is still obviously vigilant of its surroundings. It's got really great hearing, massive hook-like beak, also then designed to rip flesh. But what an incredible bird. My first time seeing one was on Tswalu. But seeing one of these is just such a treat.
about that, guys. Sure, Tswalu will be back. We are making our way back down to the central part of Djuma, and we're going to go have a look at the hyena den, see how everyone's doing after this morning's encounter. In fact, the person who was, or the people who were most traumatized by the encounter were probably us. Hyenas and lions have been living for thousands of years together and with confrontations. And Corky definitely knows how to handle herself. It's being the second confrontation we've at least seen. And I'm sure there are many more that have happened to her and to other hyenas too. Karen, you'd like to know how we decide where to go each day. Sometimes it's just random. I'll just say, I feel like going to the south. James will say, okay, well, I'll go to the north, or the east or the west, or I want to focus on something today. I want to focus on trees today. So then a plan doesn't really matter because you're looking at trees. Sometimes it's like that. But most of the time we have some clues from either last night or the day before or some report, like the dam cam report, for example. And that's what we'll follow up on. So the next morning we'll say, I want to show you this drongo. If I can get it into reverse, there we go. And now you're all hidden by the sticks. Why, thank you. The drongo came out from behind the sticks for us. So, Karen, we'll use that information to help us. And then we'll decide from there where we'd like to go. Like today. Aww. And off it goes. Like today, this afternoon, I decided I want to try and follow up on Tlalambas, which means I'd be in the north. And then James wanted to go and see the lions, or follow up on the lions. So that's basically what we do. We find a starting point. And once we have a starting point, we just kind of dance around each other, and then we keep in contact on the Game Drive radio just to figure out, I mean, it doesn't really matter if we bump each other because we're doing different things and we have different segments, but we'll try to cover different areas, because if we're covering different areas, then that is a higher chance of finding an animal. I see a bird that I'm trying to very slowly sneak up on. And paw is just there. Let's see if we can get a little glimpse of it. I'll show you. It's a little black thing that's... No, it's fine. All right, let me head down to the den. Oh, there we go, Magpie Shrek. Let me head down to the den and see what's happening there.
Back here in the Masai Mara, we've come to that time of the day when we watch the sun sinking over the horizon. Look at how that beautiful sky is overlooking the Ololo escarpment. It looks like a painting. You can hear lots of birds calling. Just listen to the sounds out here. Some of the animals will retire or maybe take a rest. We have birds that will have gone back to their nesters. We have frogs croaking. We have the hippos. We have zebras calling from a distance. We have other animals that will be active. We have hyenas that are almost walking up and about. Some lions that we just saw earlier, they'll be out trying to hunt. So we'll just carry on slowly, trying to find or locate those animals that will be, we call them nocturnals. As soon as the dark comes in, we'll be able to see some of them. Looking forward to see maybe the nocturnal mongoose, the white-tailed mongoose, hyenas, lions, and sometimes even the aardvark, who we rarely see here in the Masai Mara. So as you enjoy that beautiful view, I'm going to send you over to another safari vehicle.
We have found an enormous bevy of animals here. One giraffe bull supping upon Senegalia nigrescens and a herd of impala walking towards him, also feasting upon the fertile, the nutritious grasses that are growing in the fertile soil around the termite mound. I got it out eventually. It's been a very trying afternoon on the animal front. Now, an update on the hyena story. We visited the den where Ribbon and her bebes were yesterday, and there was no sign of them, and there was no sign of fresh digging. What is interesting, however, is that the little den on the power lines outside our camp, where they first settled yesterday morning, did show signs of digging. We went back there in the vehicle now, and there was no hyena, but some dry sand and looked like fresh tracks outside that den. So don't know what's going on there. We checked the Aubrey's Road den as well, and we're now on our way to the Philemon's Cutline den to see if they've returned or what's happening over there. The Philemon's Cutline den, in case you were wondering, is where Trishala had that very tricky sighting of the Lioness and Corky's cub and Corky this morning. Marvellous. I am comforted, however, by the glorious nature of this afternoon. Some pretty light coming out, lovely smells of the early summer or late spring. No, Louise, I don't think the type of vegetation affects the pattern on the giraffe at all. The giraffe is born with its pattern, much like a leopard is born with its spots, and those patterns just expand as the animal gets bigger. They don't get new shapes or new patterns dependent on what they eat. I've always thought it was quite interesting, actually, because same with zebra, same with leopards, as I say, and I'm sure with tigers and jaguars and even the stripes on kudus. They're like balloons, basically, and it's how I liken it. If you take a balloon and you cover it in spots, they'll be very closely packed together, an uninflated balloon. And then if you blow that balloon up, you'll still have the same spots. But because the balloon's expanded, you'll have them in slightly different positions, and they'll be further apart from each other than they were when they started. And that is precisely the same as it is with the zebra stripes or a tiger's stripes or a leopard's spots or a giraffe's patches. I've just got the following communication from the final control. I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure if a snake has perhaps got into the final control room and taken over. Anyway, I'm sure that mystery will be solved shortly.
We found a little floof. Look at this. There's a very young spotted hyena, just probably somewhere between 3 and 6 months old, I'd say, which is slowly making its way back to the den site that we've been viewing the last few days. It's actually on the move quite quickly. It's all the way moving basically from near the eco-training camp towards the den itself. I'm going to have to move us just a little bit. I'm going to just drive us forward just so we get a slightly better view of this youngster. It's busy looking at some impala. There's some impala in the clearing just to the right. So it's just watching the impala. It's curious. It's far too young to be hunting for itself. It's exploring, it's adventuring around, and of course if it finds something to chew on, which they often do, think about OD's chair that he unfortunately lost a while back to the hyenas. They often do find little things to chew on, and then that keeps them happy, but they're not really hunting at this time. And it's heading back towards the den site where we've seen at least one very big female that's either just given birth or she's pregnant right now, and then a number of other adults in the area. I think there were 4 adults spotted at that den site not long ago. I mean, it's a really gorgeous sky. I don't know if you can see it. The hyena's walking towards the sunset, and you can see that there's clouds on the horizon and a bit of an orange fiery sky. So it's really, really cool. And this hyena is out here on his own, just doing his thing. And what a spectacular way to explore this early part of the summer, with all this beautiful green grass that's just coming out. It's walking along this open area, just sniffing and heading straight. It was going in an opposite direction just before we came live here. So I wondered if maybe we'd heard hyenas early in the day, and I wondered if maybe there was maybe a carcass or something. But it's changed direction now, and it's heading straight towards the den. So whatever had caught its attention is moving off now. It's getting quite far from us. I'm going to have to try and keep up with it. It'll be cool to see if there's some interaction that happens at the den with this young hyena and any adults that might be there, especially if it's been away for a while. Actually, there's another little floof behind us. Just wait for it to come up. Oh, that's really cool. We can't film. He's in a bit of an awkward position now, but I'm just going to drive us forward slightly. There's another young hyena just walking up basically directly behind our vehicle. I'm just going to pull off this road now so that he's got a bit of space to come past us. But he's following the sibling. I assume that they might be siblings, or at least litter mates from 2 different females, most likely, unless one is a male and one is a female. So you can see the impalas just down here, which caught the attentions of this young hyena a second ago. He's going to come past our vehicle soon, and then we'll get a view of it. But you see, the one impala has seen it there. The impala on the left of the screen is definitely watching that hyena, but the hyena is not a threat in any way, and they know that. I love these little hyenas. They're so relaxed. They've become almost part of our camp now. They're almost like camp mascots. They're there almost every night. The other night there was a bit of a tug of war that happened between one of the instructors and a hyena that was trying to steal an exercise mat. That had everyone giggling. Well, the hyena eventually decided to give us back our exercise mat. So here it comes now, right next to the vehicle. I don't know if you'll be able to spot it. Spot it. Ha 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 ha. Good one, Mike. So there goes that little spotted hyena. You're so fluffy. He's as casual as anything. What's that? What's going on? See how the little hyena heard the impalas make a bit of a noise? And it got itself a little bit interested. I think 2 hyenas just, not 2 hyenas, 2 of the impalas just clashed horns for a second, and that caught his attention. But look how fluffy it is. So remember, they lose this fluff as they get older. Sally, this is the fluffiest of floofs. I totally agree with you. It's a real beaut. Look at that. Look at that incredibly thick and luxurious young coat that it's got. Look, it's so thick that there's even a few ants stuck in it. And here, and it's even got beautiful colors. Oh. That is cool. How amazing. I've never seen such a young hyena call like that. Wow, that's amazing. For a tiny animal, it's a huge sound. That was really awesome. I've never heard a hyena this small make that loud of a sound. So this hyena is older than the first one that went past. You can see it doesn't have black fluff on its legs anymore. It's got spots that go all the way down its legs. It's a very tiny hyena still, very young, but much older than the one that came past a moment ago. How old are you? No? Okay, not very chatty today? I guess not. How awesome is that? So I wonder if that young hyena that just made that noise was the reason why the other one was looking for it. Bianca, that was incredible. That's my first time ever seeing a hyena that small make that sound. And it was almost as loud as an adult calling, to be honest. That was great. And did you see how it put its head down rather than up? And that's quite interesting. What it's using is it's using the ground to reverberate that call or bounce that call up and spread it even wider instead of just pushing it in one direction. That was really special. So I wonder now if that hyena has found something, that youngster, that's interesting, and it's maybe calling the other hyenas to say, you know, come and join me, or maybe it's hoping that the adults will call back to give it an idea of where they are. I'm not sure what happened, but we're going to stick around in this area and just investigate this little bit. Seb, can you still see it?
Yeah.
Oh, there, it's moving there just to the left. It's going to stand on a small little termite mound over there. It seems to have its head down. It's listening around a little bit here and there, but I wonder what it's doing.
Just as you're coming to us, the sun is just about to disappear underneath the hill there. It's such a beautiful sunset. Clouds in front of us were also making nice, beautiful orange colors earlier. See that slither of clouds just above the sun as well. Just like that, it disappears right in front of our eyes. Incredible how quickly it moves, how quickly the earth is turning. Oh, gone completely, and all the rhinos are actually very close to us. And looking all our way, because our scent is now blowing straight onto them. So very interested in what's going on here and why we are here. See all of them coming closer to kind of inspect and see if they can get a view of what they are smelling. But it's getting dark now quickly with the sun that's gone down. See this one. Very inquisitive of what's going on. Every time there's like a gust of wind, to see it like turn its body towards us. The wind's just howling over these open plains, these open rolling hills. Rhinos are slowly moving into the direction of some thickets behind us. I think they're trying to see if they can slowly but surely head away from these open plains, because this wind is very chilly actually. You see the one curling up its tail there? Getting a little bit nervous with the bull that's now slowly approaching from the right hand side. He was actually lying down earlier, but I think he's also decided that this wind is too chilly for him. Maybe we're going to see if he can join these other rhinos and head towards the thicker areas on that side. They are moving to behind us, so we might start to lose a view of them. The youngster just staying very close to Mom all the time. Mom's protective little circle that she has around her, making sure no other rhinos come close to them. This poor young rhino was also lying down quite a few times, but Mom kept on feeding further and further away from him, or from her, sorry. And she had to get up and keep on following Mom. Must be tiring work following Mom all the time. Sinek, you're asking if rhinos are nocturnal. They are not seen as nocturnal because they are mostly active during the day. They do feed a little bit at night, but they'll lie down and sleep for long durations at night. And for that reason, we also don't view them at night. We'll try and avoid rhinos at night just so we don't disturb them and their natural behavior of really hanging around the same area and lying down and resting and maybe just feeding for a little bit. So seen as diurnal, but they do move around a little bit at night just to feed a little bit and maybe to change spots or so. Black rhino, however, are a little bit more nocturnal compared to white rhino, as they often go and drink water at night. But even white rhinos sometimes might. But the frequency of them moving around and being active is usually during the day. But for now, as it's getting darker and the sun is set completely, we are going to leave these rhinos, like I said, and let them settle down for the evening.
Alright, we are still sitting here with this magnificent bird. We've just been watching a little bit of its behavior. There is other birds calling in the area, so every now and then it looks with great intent and we think, oh my word, here comes a bit of action. But then the eyes suddenly close and it goes back to its relaxed position. It's a remarkable bird. It's one of the heavier birds or owls within the area, and its behavior that's being displayed right now is typical of it during the daytime. So the individual, I don't know where its partner is, because they do form monogamous pairs. So its partner might be in the area, somewhere very close by. Normally you see them within one tree together. And that was a great question asked earlier. What is the purpose of those pink eyelids? That's just rattling my brain. I've gone through my field app and I haven't been able to extract any information about the pink eyelids. But it's something that I'm going to have to go home and do a bit of homework. I love homework. I'm a total nerd. I must let everybody know now. And going back home and having to delve into my books is what I thoroughly enjoy. But if I don't come right, I'll definitely ask Mr. Dylan Smith. I'm sure that he or somebody else would put me in the right direction of what purpose do those beautiful pink eyelids serve. As I said, if I had to think practically, I would say that it would definitely give other predators a false impression that it is watching them, even though the eyes are closed. You get other species of birds around the world that are designed, their eyes are designed in such a manner that when they're closed, they're not totally closed, just like we saw this owls earlier. These little slits are just open. Oh, sorry, I didn't get that there. Oh, how much food does it consume? Well, it takes out large game birds, something as large as a guinea fowl. It takes out little piglets. So and that will be, and also other owls. So that will be consumed over a couple of hours, and so I don't think there's a direct correlation. Sorry, folks, just give me one. I don't think there's a direct correlation how much food it eats, but it will consume a big prey item over a time frame. But a remarkable creature. So if you think about a little piglet, it would pick up a piglet and sit with that piglet in that tree for a couple of hours. And then it would vary if it was disturbed, then it wouldn't consume the whole meal. So that's a very varied question. But if you look at the prey items, large game birds, little piglets, things like guinea fowl, and then like I said, I have seen the remnants, let me put it that, the remnants of a spotted eagle owl within the talons of this massive, massive bird. We actually, by stroke of luck sort, we drove past and the track on front, so at Tswalu we've got trackers that sit on the front of the vehicle and they've got that task of picking up the tracks for us then to lead up on animals. And it was the tracker by the name of David, and he spotted the feathers on the floor. And by looking at the feathers, we looked up in the tree, and in the tree we saw this magnificent owl. In its talons, we could just see half of the body of a spotted eagle owl. So anything up to about 1 kilogram, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, give or take what it caught. But I don't think there's a direct answer to say on how much it would consume at one go. That would be quite a varied intake, depending on what it's caught and then if it is able to consume the whole item or not. But great question, thank you. It's something like that really gets your brain ticking. How much food would this bird consume? I'll definitely go look in my reference books. Maybe I'm able to unravel something really tantalizing and delicious. I love it when we get into questions like that. But just take a look at the foot structure. So we were speaking about foot structures and birds. So within each bird, their feet are specially designed. And this is designed to grab hold and grasp. You're not going to get out of that animal's talons once it's got hold of you. Very, very beautiful bird. And when it comes to seeing rarities like this, it is incredible. This is my 6th or 7th sighting. So we do see them, occasionally, but on Tswalu this is my 6th or 7th sighting, so very special for me. We've got a lot of clouds pulling in, and it actually looks like we might get rain tonight, guys. There's some nice, dark, heavy clouds pulling in from the northeastern corner of Tswalu. Fingers crossed. We're going to send you off to another location. Hold on.
Must be one of the most exciting things you can experience, rain in the desert, especially after the dry season. Anyway, we are sitting now with 3 giraffes, and they are 3 males, and they're all light in colour, and they are having a sort of bit of a play fight. I don't know how serious this is. Although it looks like the 2 of them may be getting a little upset with each other, and one is being left out of the fun. They don't want to play with him. Quite astonishing how many giraffe there are on Djuma right now. And it's only astonishing because, sometimes there are none. As many of you will know. Much like with the elephants. Now all 3 seem to be getting in on the action. Although the one is definitely being left out. Doesn't work, chaps. One will always feel left out. It's the way it is. See, look, he's trying to be included. There's another one coming from behind them. It's quite a nice picture of all 3 of them. Oh. Just a bit of dominance display or affection. used to always put that down to dominance display. We're not so convinced anymore. Hello. Nice to see you. Niam, they're related to antelopes in so much as they are part of the same order. So I guess you could say that they are roughly as closely related to antelopes as we are to bush babies, other members of the order Primate, but not in the same family. That makes sense? So, yes, they're related, but not very closely related. In the same way that, like I say, we are part of the same order that has the lemurs and the bush babies, monkeys, baboons, that sort of thing. So about as closely related as we are to, a monkey. But not as closely related as we are to gorillas or gibbons or orangutans. Here they are again. Disappearing into the bush. Story of my afternoon.
Something amazing is happening I've never seen before. I've read about it, but never seen it. There are two animals, a warthog and hyenas, sharing the same den site. There's the hyenas, who've been at this den for at least a week now, and there's a big warthog that wants to go back into the den. How amazing is that? We literally came to the den, the young hyenas ran up here, all of a sardine. This warthog came bolting out of the den. Then it didn't go far. It's clearly a bit nervous of our vehicles, as warthogs often are. So we're not moving, we're just staying very still. But they're not, the hyenas are not bothering this warthog. The warthog is also pregnant. I think it's actually got, it's a male. I thought it was pregnant. It looked on its belly. I thought I could see teats, but it's a male. It's a very big warthog. It's going to go straight back into its little hole, the hole that's at it. Look, the hyena's following behind it. There's one young hyena following behind. This is so interesting and so weird. I've never seen this before in my whole life. And I mean, I know it happens. I always read about it in the books, but it's my first time to actually witness it. And the hyenas seem, if nothing else, curious. But there's two distinct entrances. There's one on the left, the side that the warthog is on, and there's another entrance on the opposite side of the termite mound, where we actually saw the hyena lying. So I think that these hyenas have have the one side and the warthog has the other. Let's see where this warthog goes. There's a big hyena, the big female that we think is pregnant or has given birth, just on the left here. We can't see her at this angle that we're at. But let's see, where does this warthog go? Is the hole right there, or is it closer to the mound itself?
I think it's the hole right there.
I think it's about to go into this hole right there. So the hole is actually right at the base of the termite mound, and I feel like the hyenas are maybe using the top part of the termite mound. Look, it's reversing. See, it angles its back end into the hole, and then it will back itself into the mound. And that is a great defensive mechanism, because look at the front of this warthog. Sharp tushes and tusks that are great weapons and a very strong snout, and it can run very fast. Seb and I were both saying that if you were stuck in front of that termite mound and this warthog came rushing out, it would cause you major injuries. The bottom jaw has these much shorter, sharp tusks that are razor sharp because they're rubbing constantly against those longer tusks. And if the warthog comes running out, gnashing its teeth and swinging its head from side to side, those short tusks will lacerate you. And if you're very unlucky, it will cut an artery and you'll be in serious trouble. So that's why many animals will not attack a warthog head on. They'll try and catch it from the back. You often find leopards waiting at the entrance of a warthog burrow, just at the top of it, so that as the warthog runs out, they'll jump on the warthog's back They won't wait at the entrance itself. And to try and dig the warthog out directly is to risk major injury. That might be why these hyenas are not attacking or doing anything to this warthog. They're quite happy to live in the burrow as long as the warthog, lives in its own burrow and no one attacks anyone else. It's quite a risky strategy, though, for the warthog, but I suppose it means that it may well be fairly safe from something like a leopard, because a leopard would probably not want to attack a hyena den, especially not at night when all the hyenas are active. Be very safe. Lions, another story. Lions will actively, attack and try and dig out hyenas from a den site like this, but as we know, the Pride Lands clan is very powerful, and so if they were under attack from anything, there it goes, reversing in. Goodbye. That was amazing. So as we know, the Pride Lands clan of hyenas is very powerful, and so if anything did disturb these hyenas at this particular den, they would be in serious trouble, because the hyenas would call out, and before you know it, there'd probably be at least a dozen hyenas all in this area attacking and trying to chase off whatever predator or threat that was. So maybe this warthog is quite clever. Maybe it's realized that it's quite safe here at this particular den as long as the hyenas don't get too interested in him. But he's a very healthy looking warthog, very strong, and so it's not really worth the effort. I think the hyenas would risk some serious injury. And there are young hyenas here as well, which wouldn't want to attack a warthog. So that was really, really amazing. I can't see the hyenas now. Seb, can you see the hyenas?
They've gone that way. They're behind over there.
Yeah, so they're not far away from us. They're just waiting for all the activity to settle down. When this warthog came rushing out, because the young hyenas rushed to the den, I think the warthog maybe had just got back. And the young hyenas came running over from a long distance away, and we raced here to see what was going on. And that's when the warthog rushed out. All the hyenas got a bit of a fright. Then they've just moved off now. But now that the warthog's gone back into its den or into its burrow, the hyenas will almost certainly come back. So we're going to sit here a little longer and see what happens. These hyenas are amazing. I love them.
Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari, and just to show you how well camouflaged this bird really is. So that pattern and its coloration allowing it to blend into this thorny, spiny vegetation of this beautiful camel thorn. We're getting a little bit closer, and a little bit closer, and a little bit closer. So just a quick read in my manual there. These birds are able to pick up weight up to 1.8 kilograms. That is a lot of weight to carry in your talons. But on the amount that it would consume, like I just mentioned, that would vary depending on prey item, and as well as if it's male or female, the time of the year, you name it. But that hook-like beak, its head just moved very quickly there. That hook-like beak working in conjunction with those talons, the animal will hold the prey item down to secure it, and then the hook-like beak is used then to basically pull and rip meat off of a prey item. And then the animal will consume it. Small prey items will just be swallowed whole, something like a small rodent or a small bird. If it can fit down the throat and can go down the esophagus, it'll swallow it whole. And then quite a remarkable thing, if you ever in an area where you know where an owl is staying, because owls have certain resting spots they like to go back to, especially a very worldly distributed species of owl called a barn owl. You get them in the northern hemisphere. They love to go into barns or the undercovers of houses, and they rest there. And you'd find that on the ground you'd find what they refer to as pellets, which is regurgitated and undigested material. Ooh, what is the lifespan of this bird? So there was a nice question asked yesterday about the lifespan of the longest living bird in South Africa, which was the southern ground hornbill. And the correlation between body size and as well as that with age is part and part. They go together. So the larger the bird, generally the longer its lifespan. A bird of this size, anywhere up to about 15 years in captivity, I've read. Maybe a little bit less, but up to 15 years in captivity, which is very long. I don't think they've actually recorded the lifespan in the wild. That would be obviously in a controlled environment. The animal would be safe from disease, predation, you name it. but I'd put it anywhere from 10 to 15 years in the wild this bird will be able to live. And obviously within that period, multiple breeding, successful breeding successions would be able to be achieved through that period. But remarkable, yeah, so the general size about 15 odd years. That southern ground hornbill, 30 to 40 years. That's very long. There's some albatrosses that also compete with that, maybe a little bit longer in lifespan, which is remarkable. You know, it's quite a long lifespan if you think about it. Back in the day that humans only used to live to 30, 40 years old. And obviously with the modern technology and advanced medication and healthcare, we've obviously reached a much higher lifespan, which is great for us. We get to enjoy this wonderful journey on a much longer time scale. But really, really nice to see. And for it to just be sitting like this, I mean, I thought it was gonna fly a long time ago. And it is just playing ball with us so nicely. Because normally, as you guys know, if we get a bird, it flies. And that's the good challenge about birding. You know, you've got to really want to see it. Wow, how many degrees can an owl turn its head? So on the dial, so let's go this. Let me ask a question. How many vertebrae do you think this animal has? We have 7 in our neck, same as a giraffe. It's also got 7, but this animal, remarkably, has a different figure. I'm going to ask people to maybe give us an answer. How many vertebrae do you think an owl has? Oh, it's going to fly. So it's able to rotate its head 270 degrees. There's a big old wise tail that it's able to rotate its head 360. That is the old wise tail. Oh, it's definitely seeing something. Look at its behavior. So it might see a prey item behind us. Obviously, it's got fairly good eyesight. Hearing is phenomenal. Its ears are also offset. They're not directly in line like our ears. It's actually offset so that the animal, when it's hunting, can pinpoint sound. But on that great question, how far can it rotate? Wow, I think it's starting to wake up a bit, guys. It's definitely cool. It's coming to nightfall, so this owl might start going through the process of waking up, doing a bit of grooming, stretching, getting all my feathers in order, removing all the old dead ones before the night's activity. It does predominantly hunt at night time, but onto that question, 270 degrees. It can't rotate its head right around. It would be impossible, but 270, it's able to clock its head around, which is incredible to think. Imagine turning your head 270 degrees. Wow, I think that would freak people out a little bit. You would look like, it'll be a cool party trick though, but I think it would scare some people. So hunting would be done at night. Ooh. What is the gender of the owl? Looking at the size or the actual height of the animal, I would say that this is a male. Males are smaller by body size 10%, and then they are lighter. So a male would be weighing at about 1.5, 1.7 kilograms. A female would be weighing at 2.3, 2.5 kilograms. So she is a little bit larger and a little bit heavier than that of male. I would put my money on this, that it's a male. I haven't seen a lot, so I'm going on an educated guess of my experience and what I've accumulated. I'm going on an educated guess to say that this would be a male. Just being a bit smaller. I have seen females and males sitting together, and that correlation gives me a better understanding that I would say that this is a little male, being a little bit short in terms of overall length. But that animal did see something behind us, which is remarkable. If it takes off, you're in for a surprise. Barking geckos are starting to call around us now. I hope everybody can hear that. Oh, look how it's looking at the birds. Micah, do they have favorite trees? Yes, they have favorite trees or resting spots. So if you go to a spot you go home and you feel safe at home. That's where you feel comfortable, and that's where you go and rest and you go and sleep. So for an owl to have a spot where it feels comfortable, it's got enough cover, so no other predators or other mammals are going to see it. It feels comfortable at that spot. It will return to that spot. It can use one spot for a couple of nights, and then it could have multiple spots within the area that it knows where it feels safest. It's very important for an animal, especially for birds, because when birds do sleep, they are very vulnerable. A genet is a very skillful little mammal that would make its way up into trees and actually catch owls and birds. So they need to make sure at a very high cost, a very high degree, that they are safe. So yes, they would have a favored spot, which is very nice. So if this owl favors this spot, we could come here for the next 2 or 3 days and we could find this owl resting at the spot, which is really nice for us. I mean, having that consistency really does make us very lucky in the bush. Understanding, having the ability to understand the role that they play, but also what they do within the system is really, really nice.
So this is the big mama hyena, I think, that was at the den a moment ago that we saw it run off. And there are 3 other hyenas, the 2 young ones and another adult, which looks like it might be a male. But it's difficult to see them now. They're just down there behind these bushes. But there was a lot of noise a moment ago. The 2 youngsters, there's one of the youngsters coming across there. The 2 youngsters were sniffing at this other hyena that I think might be a male. And the male snapped at them, and they went scampering off and making all sorts of noise. It was actually quite hilarious. The young one is coming into the open now. Oh no, that's the other adult that I think might be a male. I'm not 100% sure. It's very difficult to tell. It is a bigger hyena though, so it could also be just a non-pregnant female. There's another youngster coming up behind, nicely out in the open. So they're all heading back slowly towards the den site now that the activity has died down and the warthog is no longer causing a problem. But it's so amazing. These youngsters are so active, skittering and twittering and making all sorts of noise and whooping. This is like they've been cooped up the whole day lying down somewhere, and now it's time to start playing and being active. So it's really nice to see them getting all excited. Holistic, that's a great question, and one that I unfortunately don't know the answer to. Who is louder in the calls, males versus females? I guess it would stand to reason that the larger the hyena, the more power it would have to be able to call further, which would mean a female is probably going to be louder because they're significantly larger than the males. And so I would assume that a female is louder, but it's something I would be interested to look up to find out, exactly which one is louder. If females are louder, then I would assume that this youngster here that made all that noise earlier must be a female because it was incredibly loud. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the slightly older one, which has got spots on its legs. The other one that scampered away a moment ago was the slightly younger one with darker legs. So it's really, really cool to see them doing super well and being super noisy and vocal. I can't see the other 3 now. It's just this one youngster left. Oh, I'm just going to take a little nap. It's so much energy, all that making of noise. Now it's perfectly camouflaged in amongst those grasses you see with its spotted coat and its long fur. It's exactly why it has that, especially when they're a bit younger like this, so they're able to hide from anything else that might be around. Really, really great camouflage. The others have all moved off now. I suspect they're probably by the den, but because these youngsters got a little bit of a talking to a moment ago, they're probably having to keep their distance. Megan, the duties of a hyena matriarch are basically to run the clan. So they will keep them together. They'll do the mating and the breeding for the most part. The beta females might breed as well, but usually away from the main area. But the alpha females will be in charge, and their offspring will then lead the clan in future. It's really a royalty. It's a matriarchy, right? So the female offspring from the matriarch or the queen hyena will, there's the other one, will definitely take over. And then, of course, communicating and coordinating the groups and making sure that they're all helping each other out and providing food to all the members. Yeah, I mean, the hyena females are in charge of the clan, and so they will have to basically make all the decisions and make sure that the hyena clan is successful, and this clan is very successful, often seeing off lions walking past their den site. And Lagatha actually lost her carcass, so that single lioness that we see quite frequently, she managed to kill an impala and then a Ngala directly afterwards. And because she had a full belly, the hyenas came along and actually were able to steal that carcass from her. She wasn't willing to put up a fight, especially not against 3 hyenas from this very powerful clan. If she had tried to defend that carcass, the matriarch of that hyena group would have called in reinforcements most likely, and you would have found probably the full might of the Pridelands clan would have been there. At least 6 or 7 adult individuals, I would assume. Females very large, some males as well. So that's what the matriarch does. She makes sure that they can coordinate attacks. And they're not the only animals that can coordinate like that. We've seen lion prides can do it, and so do groups of African wild dogs or hunting dogs. So, the hyenas do need to be well organized and coordinated to be able to see off these other very organized and sophisticated groups of predators. This one definitely seems like it doesn't want to be active anymore. Quite happy just to lie down there at the edge of this little drainage line, very close to where the den site is. Within earshot if there's more excitement. And I'm sure there are other members of the clan around here. We're not 100% sure if this hyena female that had given, or that is using this den here, is the matriarch, or if she's a subordinate female. It's very interesting how they will give birth away from the main area. So normally what they say in this area, I know it changes if you go to East Africa, but I think, if I understand correctly, in the southern African hyena populations, the matriarch will give birth in a den away from the main area. And then once she's happy, she'll bring her offspring back to the main den. I think that's how it works. I'll stand to be corrected. So this could be the matriarch, or not this particular hyena we're seeing here, but the adult female we saw a moment ago could be the matriarch of the Pridelands clan. Lewis, the female, so all females are dominant over all males. Even if this youngster here, this cub, is a female, it will be dominant, or she will be dominant over any males, even adult males. So that's the first level of hierarchy. And then within the males, there's obviously a dominance hierarchy. The strongest is at the top. Within the females, it's more like a royal family. So you'll have a matriarch who's very strong, and she was probably the offspring of the previous matriarch, and so on and so forth. So as long as this matriarch is strong and healthy, her daughters will then become dominant over all the other female hyenas. And when she dies, if her daughter is strong enough and old enough, she will automatically assume the role of the alpha female or the matriarch. Now, it happens quite a lot in hyena clans that there's a lot of competition. And so if this hyena that we're seeing here is a female, and let's say her mother is the matriarch, if the mother dies, then this little hyena, the princess, let's call her, she will actually be ousted and ostracized from the group, and actually will have to make her own way, because she will not be allowed at that age to be the matriarch. We don't know where she's moved off now, where this little hyena's moved off to now. Somewhere down here amongst this drainage line. So it's very interesting. So hyenas are very much like a royal family. They will definitely make sure that the strongest assumes the role of the matriarch, which is so interesting. So we were just saying, Seb and I now, that it's so nice to have this den, this new den site. I know it's the natal den, so it's probably not going to be used forever, but it'll be good over the next few months if we could watch this female hyena when we know that she's given birth, and we see the cubs and we see how they interact with other hyenas, and we can start to develop an idea of who is in charge of this clan here on Pridelands. We haven't been here that long, so we really don't know yet. But having a den like this that's so nice out in the open, in a good signal area that we can film, it offers us a great opportunity to be able to find out more about these hyenas. So keep watching, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out more information soon.
All right, so 7 vertebrae in our necks, giraffe also have 7 vertebrae, but obviously they are much bigger. And then any comments on the potential number for how many vertebrae an owl has. And that will be an effect and an advantage on how this bird is able to rotate its head to that extent, which is quite incredible. This bird has become very active. It's constantly looking around, so we think it might, oh, it's like it knows I'm talking about it. We think it might take off for the evening to go do a bit of hunting. It's what it does at night time. So it hunts mainly by night, and obviously those eyes being so large will allow a lot of light in. So any light generated by the stars or by the moon is an advantage, but its hearing is a very key component on how it captures prey in very low light levels, and those talons coming down and grabbing hold of it very tightly. So beautiful. It looks a bit weird sometimes when you first look at this owl with those pink eyelids, but you definitely grow to appreciate the beauty of this large species of bird. So it often hunts from a perch position, just like it is at now. So sitting here and looking for any movement. Excuse me. And then if it finds movement or finds a potential prey, it'll take flight, doing a low swoop. And owl's feathers are designed specially to keep very, very quiet. You'll find that if a pigeon flies over you or smaller birds, they do make quite a lot of noise from their feathers, and that's from the resistance where the wind is rushing past the feather, or the friction that's been created from the wind on the feather. But owl's feathers are designed in such a manner that it's holistic. Why are owls alone? So when they're resting like this, you don't want to be sitting next to your partner, because then you're visually there. You can be picked out a lot easier than if you were split from your partner and you were sitting at different parts of the tree. So it's to eliminate any potential threat. So like another predator, spotting these owls while they're resting. No, they don't want to be seen through the resting periods of the day. They want to be in a tree that they feel safe, and they know that from being split from their partners, nothing's going to see them very easily. Obviously, us as humans, we've got the amazing ability to sit and really question things, our cognitive ability, our great eyesight, and then we can pinpoint, oh, there's one, there's another. But for other animals, it's a quick scan and then it's off. It also depends on their eyesight. Some animals see in black and white, like carnivores, so their cryptic color format that bird has allows a bird to blend in with that vegetation behind it. So being split from your partner, it's a lot more efficient to not be picked out. But they do form monogamous pairs. That means that a male and female will be together and they will breed together, but not always found together within a tree while they're resting, just like this beautiful owl is now. I come over the size of those claws. Look at that. It even makes me scared. A remarkable thing is this structure and how those feet are designed. And I'm waiting for the moment that we can find an owl track, and you'll be blown away on what it is shaped like. It's shaped in the form of a K, like a kicking K in a K. It's quite a remarkable foot, and that is obviously just used in all aspects to hold on to potential prey. But this animal has just been the cherry on top of the cake for me today. As you guys all know, I love birds, and having a bird like this where it's just sitting and waiting is just so amazing. Oh, see how he's tucking his one leg up there, getting a little bit chilly. Scales over there to protect the feet as well. It's also another adaptation or remnants of reptiles. Yo, it's getting a little bit chilly, eh, Glenn? It's getting very chilly over here now. And fingers crossed we get a bit of rain tonight. And so, Glenn says he wishes he had a few feathers. Obviously, great insulating property feathers do provide. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful, guys, having you on board with us here at Tswalu and also from all the other 6 locations. Watching this owl and being able to understand and really appreciate nature like this on a high degree is something that I relish and I really enjoy. So from us over here and everybody else, join us tomorrow 6 a.m. for your sunrise safari. And from here on out, have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye.